Get into it. It's crime o'clock, yeah. Feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick tock, won't stop. Let the facts talk. Pull up real close, yeah. It's crime o'clock. Clock, clock, yeah. Typically new. Neon signs glow. Brick wall behind me. Headlines loud, but they never define me. They rush the story, skip the proof. I slow it down, let it show the truth. Files on deck, read every line. Timestamps matter, so does time. If it don't fit, I don't force the frame. Ask one question, whole story change. No fear my voice, no need to shout. Paper speaks when you read it out. If the math's off, I'll circle twice. Truth ain't loud, but it ain't nice. Yeah. Read it again. It's crime o'clock, yeah. Feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick tock, won't stop. Let the facts talk. Pull up real close, yeah. It's crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock. Read it again. They sell a narrative if I sell receipts. Courtroom quiet, but the pages speak. Word for word, no added spin. Let it stand, yeah. Let that sink in. Screenshot save, timeline's tight. Missing pieces keep me up at night. If they say alleged, I say why. If they say case closed, I say try. No rush here, we do it right. Truth don't bend for the likes of hype. If you came for noise, you in the wrong spot. This is evidence, this is crime o'clock. Clock, clock, clock. Stay with me. This isn't background noise. This is pattern recognition. This is documents. This is crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock, yeah. Feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick tock, won't stop. Let the facts talk. Say it with me now. Crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock. Typically unique. It's crime o'clock. Yeah. If you're here, you're early. If you're listening, you're paying attention. Show starts now.
Welcome back to Crime O'Clock on Typically Unique. We are here for day 21 of the Nancy. I was going to say Nancy Guthrie. What am I talking about? Lindsay Clancy trial. And today, I don't know how long of a day it'll be. They have to finish up the testimony of the witnesses. I think they're all the rebuttal witnesses. And then speculation is that they will do closing arguments tomorrow, and then the jury will have the case on Friday. So Friday we'll hang out and look at all the information, dive in and review things. So they did start already, but of course it was welcome in. And then let me see everybody at sidebar so we can talk about today. So here they come. Let me get this shared. We're getting right into it. They are getting ready to start. Share this out, you guys, so we can all watch together, and hit that like button on your way in, please. I gotta turn my volume up. Hope you guys are having a great morning. Hey, John.
Hey.
Hi, Leah. Hey, G-Bean.
Security court now sitting in Plymouth, within the floor of the Commonwealth. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard.
Hi, Mystic.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts, this court is now in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have the continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right, well, thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, members of the jury. All right, it's nice to see everybody once more unto the breach, as they say. We're going to continue with this trial. So I appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to ask those questions, and I'll go a little bit into today's schedule and kind of where we're going to go on this. So first question, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect about this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial? All right. Second, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case anybody needs to address at this time? Again, thank you so much for following those instructions. And so what we're going to do, as I said yesterday, we're going to continue with the testimony of the doctor who was on the stand yesterday. And it's anticipated that that is the last witness in the trial. And then we will then take a break, because before we go to the next portion of the trial, which is the closing arguments and the legal instructions, the court has to make some arrangements. They've got to speak to counsel. So it takes a little while. So I'm going to excuse you at that point and have you come back tomorrow. All right. So we're going to finish the evidence today. We're going to excuse you. I'm going to then deal with counsel. And then we will do, hopefully, arguments in charge tomorrow. All right. So again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody's dedication and commitment in following those instructions and being here every day. So that's kind of where we are at this point. All right. And so with that, I'm going to ask the Commonwealth if you could have the doctor retake the stand, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Stop right there with your right hand to the front, please.
You want to do solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall testify is true, and that now coming between the Commonwealth and the defendant, I shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you, sir. You may be seated.
Watch your step, please.
All right. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
All right. Tree Sprague.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yesterday, when we left off, you were testifying about the decision-making process of the defendant and what she told you about that. Going to what she told you about the voice and what it said to her, did the defendant tell you if that the voice told her where to kill the children?
No.
Did the voice tell her how to kill the children?
No.
Did the voice tell her what to use to kill the children?
No.
Did the voice tell her in what order to kill the children?
No.
Did the voice tell her where to try to kill herself?
No.
Did the voice tell her in what way to kill herself?
No.
The fact that the voice, according to the defendant, the voice didn't tell her any of those things, but instead just said, kill the kids so you can kill yourself. Is that significant in your evaluation in any way?
Yes.
How so?
Well, in the small amount of time that Ms. Clancy had in the home without her husband, it was important, in order to carry this out, as well as her suicide, to do this quickly, methodically, and the like. And so this is having no instructions as to how to do it, but being able to execute those decisions, including being able to get a phone call and then return it to her husband in the process of all of this. Certainly the phone call was not expected. That is surprising, that she was able to accomplish all of this without any other kind of direction or plan.
Does that indicate to you that she was making decisions about those things, about where and how and when?
Your Honor, this is, again, for the record, direct examination is leading. I object to it, have a standing objection.
Yeah, if you could just rephrase that.
What does the fact that she was able to do all of that indicate to you, if anything?
Well, it indicated that she had control of the sequence of what she was doing throughout.
Doctor, you talk in your report about interpersonal psychological theory of suicide. What is that?
Well, that has to do with the decision-making process or the capability for someone who attempts suicide.
And are there 3 parts to that theory?
Yes.
And what are they?
Well, one would be called aloneness, or the sense of isolation, people not understanding. So that is a real difficult challenge for people to face. They feel that they can't fully share with others. Another is burdensomeness. If someone feels that they are a burden to others, that is also something that we find is a component to those who make serious suicide attempts and completions. And the third is what I would call capability. So you can have that sense of aloneness. You can have that sense of burdensomeness. But if you don't have the capability of taking your life, you can be very suicidal, but not ultimately accomplish the suicide. It does not mean that you're not suicidal. But that issue of capability is one that's very difficult, because we have a natural will to live. And that is the most difficult thing for people to overcome.
The thing that's the most difficult thing to overcome, that's the capability of actually committing suicide. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And this theory in the 3 parts, did you compare what Ms. Clancy told you and what you saw in the records to this theory, and have any conclusions about that?
Yes.
And what were they?
Well, certainly, the documentation from the medical and mental health records demonstrates that sense of isolation she felt, even in the company of others. That sense that she was just having a problem that was difficult for her to understand, difficult for others to understand. And of course, the suicidal feelings that came about, and then ultimately those feelings about harming her children. This is not something that she could share. The sense of burdensomeness, she had planned to go back to work, as she had for her first 2 children, Cora and Dawson. And the time that she was expecting to go to work kept extending, because she just did not feel mentally healthy enough to be able to return to work and to function. And so in some of the documentation where she filled out concerns and was asked about the kind of stressors in her life, she indicated that financial was one of the stressors that she was encountering. So to believe that her brain had been damaged, that she was not able to do what she loved, which was labor and delivery nursing, but also not in a position to help support the family, really was would be a burden for anyone. And certainly that sense of burdensomeness was something that I believe she was experiencing. And then the last component, capability, I truly believe that her suicide attempt was very, very serious, which is why she employed 3 different methods. The fact that the use of the knife and the lacerations were not deep doesn't mean that she wasn't intending to kill herself with a knife. But oftentimes that, as I mentioned, is the most difficult thing. I think the employment of the three different avenues, locking the door, and also not being dressed for the cold, indicate to me that this attempt was very, very serious, despite the fact that the use of the knife was not successful in cutting her arms, cutting her neck.
And so, doctor, in terms of the cutting on the arms and the neck not being sufficient to cause death, is that what you're referring to? Is that as someone faces difficulty or an inability to be capable of actually following through to commit suicide?
Correct.
So in this case, it's your opinion that she was trying to commit suicide, but struggling with that third capability issue?
Correct.
Now, you testified yesterday about the intrusive thoughts that Ms. Clancy was having about harming herself in the fall leading up through December into January. And those thoughts at times, would it be accurate to state that Ms. Clancy reported at times that taking Ativan helped with those thoughts?
Yes.
And was there anything significant in your review of the case in terms of her reporting that Ativan helped her with those thoughts?
Yes.
How so?
So Ativan is a lorazepam, a benzodiazepine. This is a medication that is very helpful for treating anxiety. It also can help relax people, help them sleep, which was very helpful to Ms. Clancy. And she stated that when she had the intrusive thoughts, taking the Ativan resolved those thoughts. And I think that's significant because it's not a medication. Ativan, lorazepam is not an antipsychotic medication. It's not meant to treat psychosis, make people feel more calm. And sometimes it's used for people who are having significant symptoms. But in terms of actually treating psychosis, making a voice go away, it's just not designed to do that.
And doctor, did the fact that the intrusive thoughts went away when taking the Ativan, according to Ms. Clancy, give you further evidence that it was in fact internal thoughts and not an external voice?
Yes.
Now, if someone is experiencing psychosis and is experiencing command hallucinations, can that person still know the difference between right and wrong?
Yes.
How so?
Well, hallucinations, even command hallucinations, when they occur, do not propel an individual to automatically obey them. And in fact, many people will engage in behaviors to stop the actions that the voice is claiming. That's something that makes sense, particularly when the command is just so serious and so against someone's values. So it's possible and common for people to engage in behaviors to avoid doing what a command hallucination is saying.
And doctor, is it possible for someone who is experiencing psychosis and command hallucinations to conform their behavior to the law?
Yes.
And how so? Is it basically what you were just telling us?
Yes. if someone is having a command hallucination to do something out in public, but there is a police officer nearby, it certainly is possible for that person to choose not to engage in that behavior because of the consequences. Even though a voice might be saying this, there's other decision-making going on based upon the environment.
Now, doctor, in your evaluation of Lindsay Clancy, did you come to an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether or not she was suffering from a mental disease or defect on January 24th, 2023?
Yes.
And what was that opinion?
I believe that Ms. Clancy was suffering from a mental disease or defect, and I felt that based upon the presentation, a bipolar 2 diagnosis seemed to make the most sense given the symptoms of insomnia that she had that were precipitated by the Zoloft. And this was just very, very significant. And while it didn't fulfill all the criteria or many of the criteria, if she were a patient of mine, I would diagnose her as bipolar 2 because I would want to make sure that any doctor who saw her afterwards would be very wary of using an SSRI antidepressant in treating her.
And doctor, you mentioned the drug effects, Zoloft had an effect, and SSRIs might have an effect. Is there a difference when you're treating someone and they're taking medications between being over-medicated and having an adverse reaction to medication?
Yes.
And what is the difference?
Well, when we think about side effects, that is an example of a medication having a response. Now, sometimes we have side effects when we're not necessarily over-medicated, but we put up with those side effects. When there is too much medication, certainly we can experience those side effects. For example, over-sedation, or there are some medications that can cause stimulation, so people are not able to sleep. An adverse reaction is much more serious. An adverse reaction could be, for example, an allergic reaction that could cause death, or some type of reaction that you don't see in most people, but has been reported. So there is a difference between side effects, no matter how difficult they are, and what we would call adverse effects, which can be extremely serious.
And in your review of the records of the medications that the defendant was prescribed from September through December, did you see any evidence of her having adverse effects from the medication?
Well, the insomnia secondary to the Zoloft was very concerning to me, and it would mean not just cutting the Zoloft back, but stopping it. I would say that the Zoloft was in precipitating insomnia. I mean, she reported 48 hours straight of not being able to sleep, that was an adverse effect. And an adverse effect really requires one to stop the medication.
And that is what Dr. Jennifer Tufts did with Ms. Clancy, correct? She had her stop the medication?
Correct.
And in reviewing those records again from September through December of 2022, did you see any evidence that Ms. Clancy was over-medicated?
she experienced some significant side effects from some of her medications. She was given, I think, nurse practitioner Paul gave her clonazepam, which is also a benzodiazepine, and she really had an uncomfortable reaction to that. Just woke up and felt quite confused. So she stopped that medication, understandably. Seroquel is a medication, quetiapine, that at high doses can cause some significant side effects. At lower doses, it generally helps treat insomnia. At higher doses, it can have more significant effects. And in terms of just ability to think and organize one's thoughts. However, Ms. Clancy, in December of 2022, chose at that time to continue on Seroquel, a combination of Seroquel and Valium. Nurse practitioner Gelada had suggested another medication, olanzapine, Zyprexa, which she's taking now. And Ms. Clancy asked that she continue on the Seroquel at that point and the Valium. So, it's a challenge. One has side effects, but one also sees benefit in the medication. And certainly that combination at that time, I think it was around December 7th, December 9th, that was really helping her sleep. And so she asked to continue on those two medications.
So I guess when I ask about over-medication and you talk about the side effects of the medication, there seems to be a disconnect between maybe what a lay person calls over-medicated versus what the medical definition of that is. So is what you're saying that being over-medicated medically means having side effects to the medication?
Well, no, not necessarily.
So what does over-medicated mean to you in your profession?
Well, if someone were to prescribe a medication that was beyond the limit that safely can be prescribed, for example, it's possible to be toxic on, say, lithium, which is a medication that she took for a while she was at Tewksbury. And if I were prescribing, say, 1,200 milligrams of lithium twice a day, and her lithium level was toxic, as it would likely be, that would clearly be an example of over-medication.
And did you see any evidence of that scenario in the defendant's records, that she was prescribed too high a dose to make her be at a toxic level of any medication?
I think those who were prescribing for her were responding to the symptoms that she was bringing. There was a kind of a rapid increase in the dose of Seroquel, and that higher dose of Seroquel was she did not. I believe she was ultimately prescribed at 400 milligrams, and she never ended up taking that, but. As a clinician, we do our best to try and treat symptoms.
So, Doctor, did you see, other than the Seroquel, any medications that the amount that was prescribed you would think would be over medication?
No,
And then the Seroquel itself, you said she was prescribed up to 400 milligrams, but she reported that she never took that amount, correct?
correct.
And after her stay at McLean Hospital, she had been weaned off of the Seroquel, correct?
That's right.
And the only medications immediately after leaving McLean Hospital were trazodone and Valium, correct?
Correct.
Dr. Tufts added a medication as a result of her appointments with the defendant in January. Is that correct?
That's right.
And what was that medication?
That was amitriptyline, also known as Elavil.
And you saw that what the initial dose of that was, correct?
Correct.
What was that?
The initial dose from Dr. Tufts was 10 milligrams.
Is that a high dose for an adult?
No, it's the very smallest dose possible.
And then did Dr. Tufts increase that dose?
Yes.
And when was that?
After a week, she increased the dose from 10 milligrams to 20 milligrams.
And is that a significant increase in the dose?
No,
Is 20 milligrams a significant or large dose for an adult?
not at all.
10 milligrams or 20 milligrams of amitriptyline, is that something you could even prescribe to a child?
Yes.
Now, doctor, based on your review of all of the records and your meetings with Ms. Clancy and your collateral interviews, did you form an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether or not Lindsay Clancy on January 24th, 2023 could appreciate the difference between right and wrong?
Yes.
And what was that opinion?
My opinion is that she did have the capacity to appreciate right from wrong.
And what do you base that on?
Well, on a number of things. Ms. Clancy had just met with her psychiatrist, Dr. Tufts, the day before. And in that discussion with Dr. Tufts, as documented, she denied suicidal ideation, and she also denied thoughts of harm to others. And also there was an ongoing conversation regarding future possible treatments, esketamine or TMS, which I spoke about yesterday, that could be employed to help her. Also, with regard to the appreciation between right and wrong, the planning involved prior to the strangling of her children, I thought was significant. The searches for distance of 3V, the searches of CVS, all done prior to her sending fairly late in the afternoon a text asking her husband if he didn't mind takeout from 3B and then adding on. So that planning, that preparatory planning, I thought was significant. The avoidance of witnesses. You know, a witness during a time when one is committing a crime can intervene, not just report, but also intervene. And so the fact that this was done without any witness present during a time where she had asked the potential witness to go on a longer errand, also I thought was significant. Concealment is another thing that I think indicated an understanding of right and wrong. I mean, the children were strangled all in the basement. And according to Mr. Clancy, the door to his office had been closed when he arrived to the basement. Timing was really, really significant in this. There was a window of time that Ms. Clancy was aware of in which she would need to kill her 3 children as well as to kill herself, which she expected would happen. She was conscious of time and told me that she had mapped out the distance, et cetera, because she didn't want her husband to be gone too long. But in this case, I think the issue of time and her husband returning, rather than being a solution for her, was a problem. And so to accomplish all of this in the course of that amount of time that Mr. Clancy was gone, I thought was significant, really showed an awareness of time.
Okay, I'm pausing it for just a second. Okay, just logically think about this. She asked her husband, would you like takeout from 3V? Whatever it's called. He could have said no. What if he would have said no? It's too expensive there. I'm not really in the mood for that. I'd rather go to, they had 2 other takeout places that they normally went to. What if he would have said no? And then he would have had to go to a closer place, and that messes the whole timeline up. So is Reddington going to bring that up? What do you guys think?
In terms of the weapons used, now these were exercise bands, but they were all near where the children were strangled. They were placed there. That's where they kept those
Every day,
exercise bands.
Jen Collins, every day.
The exercise bands were nearly identical. I mean, very similar in terms of what they could do as ligatures. And so that use of weapons that were readily available and nearby also was significant to me in terms of her understanding of and planning. I did not see any evidence that she had delusions about her children, delusions as to something wrong with them or something that required them, because of a delusion, that they needed to die. I don't recall that she ever spoke about her children in a delusional way. Now,
We have a question.
Sure. Next question.
Were there other factors that influenced your opinion that she knew the difference between right and wrong?
yes.
And what were they?
Well, the phone call.
I hate that. They know the
at
difference between right and wrong.
5:34 in the afternoon, I thought was significant. So Mr. Clancy was at CVS and he called his wife, and she did not pick up. She did not answer, but she called him back and had that ability to deviate from what she was doing to be able to respond. And so had the presence of mind to do that, but also to conceal from him what was going on. Locking the door is another example. I mean, certainly Ms. Clancy was aware of time and the limited amount of time to accomplish this, but by locking the door, it kept her husband from being able to enter the bedroom and therefore being able to see what had happened. So delayed that time. On arrival, her husband asked her what happened, and she did not confess. She did not tell him what had happened other than, I tried to kill myself. She also did not report auditory hallucinations, but rather said that the children were in the basement. It's my belief that she expected to die, and that by the time Mr. Clancy arrived, she would have successfully been able to take her life.
And sir, did you form an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether or not Lindsay Clancy on January 24th, 2023 had the ability to conform her behavior to the requirements of the law?
Yes.
And what is that opinion?
Well, if we look at that day, we know that in the morning she took Cora to a pediatrician's appointment. And all physicians receive training in psychiatry, no matter what specialty they go in. That's part of medical school. And so, like other doctors who had seen her who were not psychiatrists at appointments and whatever, the pediatrician also did not notice any unusual things about her. She did not, she was able to conform, right, to the type of behavior that a concerned mother would engage in. She was able to drive to the pediatrician's office and then back. And the day was really one of significant control. The activities that she engaged in that day, spending time with her children with Play-Doh, taking them outside to build a snowman, sending photographs of the children to her mother, to her husband on Instagram, fixing lunch and also fixing dinner for the children. So the activities of that day were controlled, as were the activities in terms of the planning that we already mentioned. So throughout the day, I mean, she was methodical and quite controlled and organized, even in that space of time that was short. There was a lot to do in terms of killing her children and also killing herself. And I would say that the last point with regard to conforming to the law is that when she received the phone call from her husband, she did not report to him that she was in distress, that she was having hallucinations, that she needed help. So with that phone, by calling her husband back and reassuring him by the fact that, yes, she knew the medication, whatever, that helped guarantee that he would continue on the errands. Had she not called him back, it would likely, or it certainly was possible that he would be concerned enough that he would return home. And so I think the phone figures in just in terms of her awareness and conforming her behavior such that the strangling of her children could be concealed.
And doctor, did you form an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether Lindsay Clancy on January 24th, 2023, when she strangled her children, was criminally responsible?
Yes.
And what is that opinion?
Yes. It is my opinion within a reasonable degree of medical certainty that Ms. Clancy was criminally responsible.
Move to submit Dr. Satoff's CV as the next exhibit.
Any objection, counsel? All right, that may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Hold on a second, Ms. Remington. Exhibit. Thank you. All right, counsel.
Morning.
Good morning.
So, Dr. Sartoff, as I understand it, you conducted your investigation or examination of Lindsay by Zoom, correct?
Did you say by June?
Sorry, Zoom. You know,
By Zoom, okay.
Television.
I thought you said, because it was the 4th of June. Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you tell us when you were first engaged by the district attorney's office to assist them in this case?
I first was informed about the case, I think in January or early February of 2026 of this year. The final contract with the university was not completed, as I recall, until April.
And is that a matter of significant import when you're engaged in evaluating a young woman that's charged with triple homicide and you're hired by the government? The fact that there's a contract that wasn't signed by your school?
Well, sometimes it's a long process that I don't have any control over.
Sure, I understand.
I've seen those kinds of things take a while, take longer than one would necessarily want.
So the contract with your school that you're talking about would be the contract for your compensation, for your opinion?
Well, I would never be contracted for an opinion.
Okay.
But
You're getting paid, right?
no, I'm getting paid a salary.
Yes.
The university is getting paid.
And the university is deriving a benefit monetarily from your testimony or working on this case for the DA, right?
That's right.
All right. And how much did the university get as a result of your involvement in this case?
I don't know what the hourly rate is that they charge.
So you don't know what the hourly rate for your time is, right?
Correct.
You don't know how much money was paid by the district attorney's office to the university, right?
Correct.
You don't know how much money will be paid for perhaps yesterday, today, whatever, balance billing. You don't know that either, right?
That's right.
You were retained or engaged in January of 26, right?
Yes.
This is an incident that occurred on January of 23, right?
Yes.
In January of 23 to January of 26, 3 years
That's right.
to being engaged on the case, right?
Correct.
And when you were engaged on the case, at some point, the university must have been out of the picture and you must have started to communicate with the DA's office, the police, or whoever.
That's right.
And you knew about this case. It had a significant amount of publicity, right?
Yes.
Did you know that other doctors on behalf of the district attorney's office were being hired to also evaluate Lindsay?
I didn't specifically know that, but that's usually the case.
Is it important to see someone, to evaluate them as close in time as the incident is alleged to have occurred to your evaluation, or does it matter? In other words, is it better to see someone like, you know, within a month or two after an incident, or 3.5 years later?
Well, what's most important is the collateral information that was gathered at the time to understand what was going on at the time. Ms. Clancy's behavior during her hospitalization and the like, there are records, but certainly there are benefits to an examination closer to the event.
And you would agree with me, sir, that you actually saw and questioned or interrogated Lindsay, what, 2 months ago?
May 29th and June 4th.
Okay. And when you went to interview her in purposes of your evaluation, you had already accessed the collateral information, sir?
Yes.
Before I go there, let me just review a few things here. on your CV, which the jurors will have to examine. You indicated to us your present employment. You have a private practice as a psychiatrist.
No.
Okay. So where do you see patients?
I see patients in the prison system.
They're your patients?
Yes.
What do you do for those people that are in jail?
In prison, within the Virginia Department of Corrections, we have inmates within the prison system who suffer from mental illness and require assessment and treatment.
I see. So you don't have, when you said to the jury a little while ago, if I'm treating my patient and I would prescribe a particular prescription for my patient and I wouldn't tell my patient to do whatever it is you said, it's not people that go to an office or see you or even on the television to be treated. These are people that are in jail, right?
Prison, yes.
So there's a difference between jail and prison, right?
Yes,
And this would be in Virginia, is it?
correct.
So you're dealing with people that are serving hard time in the Iron Mansion, as they say. It's not a house of correction down the street, right?
I see patients who have different varying sentences. Some have life sentences. Some are scheduled for release, in the coming months. So that really varies.
And you work on behalf of the state to evaluate prisoners to determine whether or not they are fit, if you will, to be released into society, right?
Once someone's sentence is over, the only way that they could be continued within a prison system would be to be committed to a psychiatric hospital. And I would say that in the 34 years that I've been treating inmates who are patients, I can only recall 2 times where when discharge came up, their condition was such that they required to be civilly committed because of mental illness.
And when you are talking as a forensic psychiatrist evaluator, would that be on behalf of the BOP, Bureau of Prisons?
I have consulted with the Bureau of Prisons on just a few occasions, but
Okay.
Bureau of Prisons is federal, and
Yeah, I know that.
most of my work has been with state.
Okay, but on your resume, sir, you indicate from 2019 through the present, that's a number of years, that you have been employed or engaged as a forensic psychiatrist evaluator on behalf of the United States Bureau of Prisons as it relates to probation or parole. Is that in your resume?
Yes,
And that means, sir, that you evaluate inmates that are trying to get out of jail, and you would evaluate them to determine if they're appropriate for parole, right?
no,
Okay. So when you indicate on your resume from 2019 through the present, you're employed as a forensic psychiatrist evaluator for the United States Bureau of Prisons. How many of these evaluations did you do in the years from 2019 through 2026? 7 years.
I think I've done 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yes,
Okay. 2016 through 2022, you're engaged as a consultant psychiatrist for the Elson Student Health Center. What is that?
that's the Student Health Center at the University of Virginia. So that serves students who are at the university.
And like what? I mean, do you evaluate them? Do you treat them? Do you analyze them? What do you do for college students?
My work with the university and the health center really had to do with students who were having difficulty and had left the university and were interested in getting back. And so I was part of a 3-person panel to evaluate the students to see whether or not it would be appropriate to bring them back to the university.
And what, were they like thrown out of the university, or they were disciplined or something? Why would you bring them back? What does that mean?
Well, if there was an event that caused concern, potentially was a threat, for example, then just for the student safety and the safety of all, they would leave the university in order to get the type of care that they needed. And then if they want to come back, then I was part of a panel that would evaluate these students and make a determination about whether it was safe.
So these
for
are your
them to come
students.
back.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
Okay, these are students, right?
Correct.
In college, right?
That's right.
That have been thrown out or disciplined or suspended or something, and they're trying to get back into school, right?
That's right.
And when the parents of the students come, they retain you to advocate on their behalf?
No,
No, you work for the school, right?
correct.
You evaluate them and then back the school up so that these kids can't get back into the school, right?
Can you ask that question again?
No, that's all right. 1999 through the present, you work for the United States Department of Justice, the United States Department of State, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that would be the United States Attorney's Office, the prosecutors. Like they're the state prosecutors, you get federal prosecutors, right?
Well, federal prosecutors and defenders. I've worked with both.
Well, the defenders certainly don't work for the United States Department of Justice or the United States Department of State, do they?
I was under the impression that federal public defenders were under the umbrella of the Department of Justice.
No, that's called the CJAC. That would be a totally different group of people. Those are people that defend people to try to have them not be abused by the system, if you will.
Yeah, that question be stricken.
2015, you're a psychiatric consultant for the Virginia Office of the Attorney General. Another prosecuting arm, right?
Yes.
2013, Virginia Department of the Virginia Department of Corrections, least restrictive measures for segregation. You evaluate people to determine if they should be in max or disciplinary unit as opposed to general population. Is that what you do?
Yes, I've been asked to do that.
Okay. And you certainly don't advocate on behalf of the prisoners that are being placed in seg or being placed in those closed units with higher security, right?
No, that's not true at all.
The National Security Expert 2007 to the present, Oak Ridge United Associated Universities. What is that?
Yes, that is a group that that does research with the Behavioral Analysis Unit and the National Center for Analysis of Violent Crime, and I have done work with them.
Okay. Critical Incident Analysis Group, CIAG, University of Virginia.
Yes,
Okay. Behavioral Analysis Unit, as you told us yesterday, for the FBI at Quantico, right?
that's right.
Psychiatric consultant to the Virginia Department of Corrections, medium, maximum, and supermax facilities, right?
Yes,
Continuing on with your experience, sir, as a witness in this case, you agree with me that you were involved as a psychiatric consultant with the Macro Task Force on-site consultation for the Australian Police Service.
yes,
Former Soviet Union project, Republic of Georgia, TBILISI, Georgia. You're involved with that, sir?
Tbilisi.
Tbilisi, yeah. Critical Incident Response Group for the U.S. Air Force. You're in the assessment unit.
Yes,
Crisis Management Unit, investigative support for Operation Gray Sunset, Jordan.
Correct.
Crisis Management Unit, Investigative Support Unit, Critical Incident Response in Montreal, Quebec.
Yes.
FBI, National Center for Analysis of Violent Crime, Operation New Hope.
Yes.
Bureau of Criminal Investigation, that's BCI, for the Department of the State Police. Would that be Virginia?
Yes.
You also have an interest in and have studied or written about various topics in your career, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Hostage negotiations course, Crisis Management Unit. You were involved with that, is that correct?
Correct.
That was a number of years ago, though. I guess that was like 1996.
That's right.
But you've been involved with the FBI for a long time, right?
Yes.
Fair to say that you're a government man?
Objection.
Sustained.
Hostage negotiation course. How about Virginia Department of State Police? You involved with them as well, sir? Yes?
Yes.
Advisory positions. You deal with Islam in prison is one of your interests, right? That was a TV program or something?
Correct.
Talk about National Institute for Justice, Standing Committee to advise the Department of State on unexplained health effects on U.S. government employees and their families overseas, right?
Yes.
Analysis of pre-attack behaviors of the Las Vegas shooter behavioral analysis unit for the FBI.
Yes.
Skipping ahead, papers published. Now, when a doctor or a psychiatrist, or any doctor really, I guess, publishes a paper that's of interest to other doctors or people, that's called a learned treatise, right? Peer review?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me, what is peer review? What does that mean when you're dealing with a person's focus and interest in writing about what they're focused on?
So a peer review journal is one in which once an article is submitted, a paper for publication, that goes to qualified people within the same field who review it and make determinations about the quality and whether or not it should be published. Oftentimes, there will be some edits or suggested edits from those who have expertise. It's a blind process. So if I submit a paper and it's peer reviewed, I don't know necessarily at all who is reviewing it, but it's a way to ensure quality of articles that are published. And that's just an important standard.
So it's kind of a rigorous standard to make sure that what you're writing about is reliable and would be helpful to others that are interested in it, right?
Correct.
Okay. So for example, also it depends on where you're publishing it. You could put something in the National Enquirer, or you could put it in International Psychiatric something or other, right? Which would be a better
I don't think the
publication.
Enquirer is peer reviewed, but.
So you certainly would agree with me that the International Journal of Law and Psychiatry is a respected source for learned treatises, right?
Yes.
And you would agree with me, sir, that you've been in here telling this jury all about Lindsay and how she didn't hear voices or did hear voices or exaggerated and lied. Have you written any articles at all on the concept of auditory hallucinations?
No.
Have you read any of them?
Read any articles? Yes.
Yeah, okay. You certainly have heard of Dr. Philip Resnick, yes?
Yes.
And it's fair to say, tell me if I'm wrong, is he literally a world-known authority in your field for filicide or the killing of children by their parents?
Yes, he's well known.
And is he also well-written as far as auditory hallucinations, same stuff you've been testifying about?
Yes.
And he published an article in the International Journal of Law and Psychiatry, which is considered to be, if you know, a landmark article about, and I captioned, listening to voices the use of phenomenology to differentiate malingered from genuine auditory verbal hallucinations. Now, did you read that article?
Yes.
So it is a peer-reviewed article published in a recognized journal, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I would offer this under Commonwealth versus Sneed for the jury, if they wish.
Objection.
Counsel Garcia, sidebar.
She's got a big white bow on today. Did you guys see that? Yeah, I think Big Red follows a plan for he has like a procedure. Trash their credentials, then trash their experience, and then trash their opinion. We're on the credential portion of the program. That's crazy. Sidebar. Oh my God. Yeah, don't do that. 70-page resume guy. You know, I think that's telling. I'm reading Sammy's comment. 70-page resume guy studied nothing but juveniles. I think it's telling that, you know, you're the prosecution and you're trying to find experts to testify for you. And these are the people they got. Like, where are the labor and delivery, women's health issue specialists? You know, they're out there. They probably didn't want to touch this case with a 10-foot pole. I was watching, I probably said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. I was watching TikToks that you guys have been posting in the Discord. And there's a major point, I guess. I mean, it's either documented or it's not documented. And I think it is that when Lindsay left McLean Hospital, she was weaned off the Seroquel and Remulin or some other drug. Like, there were a few drugs that they had taken her off of. And when they tested her, she had those in her system. That's an issue. That's an issue. Remron,
District Attorney,
thank you.
could I continue?
Sure.
Thank you. Leaving aside the peer review article and the article written by Dr. Philip Resnick, sir, for a minute, papers that you published, and you have in your resume, it says peer reviewed. So that's just what we were talking about, right?
That's right.
All right. Using the moral situational action model of extremist violence to assess fluctuating levels of risk in women, the relevance of risk promotive and protective factors. What does that mean, levels of risk in women with extremist violence?
Well, looking at risk assessment in terms of violence and what may be mitigating factors, in other words, decreasing the risk or the threat, or increasing, that would be enhancing factors. But this is looking at a group in terms of research.
And it's research about women that are involved with extremist violence?
Yes.
Okay. Assessing, let's write that. Using the moral situational action violence risk model for assessing women involved in extremist violence and empirical study. Is that similar article?
Yes.
operationalizing theory, a moral situational action model for extremist violence. That would include guys plus women, I guess, right?
I'm sorry.
That would include men plus women, I guess, right? Because it doesn't
Yes.
say women. Suicide, terrorism, performance of violence as a public plunge. You wrote that, right?
Correct.
It's another interest. Crisis leadership and military community resilience. You wrote that, right?
Correct.
Painting by numbers, capturing the pathology of socio-political conflict, dealing with depression amongst Palestinians. You wrote that, right?
Correct.
Psychological challenges of bioterror. You wrote that, right?
Correct.
Trauma and intergenerations transmissions in Kuwait. You wrote that, right?
Yes.
Recognizing borderline personality disorder in the family practice setting. You wrote that, right?
That's right.
Mortality among elderly patients discharged from a state hospital. It's one of your interests, right?
That's right.
Postpartum psychosis induced by bromocriptine. That's the one that you told the jury about originally that you published 40 years ago, right?
Yes.
Okay. Morality and the radicalization of women. What is that? What was that all about?
Could I be refreshed with that? I'm
Sure. It's just, I mean, you can look at your resume if you wish. I'm just going through it. It's under B, books and chapters. This one is the first one, and it deals with radicalization of women. A handbook, I guess, for terrorism studies. You remember that? It's only 4 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. Application of big data for national security, a practitioner's guide. You wrote that, right?
Correct. I was one of 4 editors.
Crisis guide of psychoactive drugs and poisons for the crisis negotiation unit. You wrote that, right?
That's right.
International handbook of threat assessment, right? Yes. Protection of children during armed political conflicts, a multidisciplinary perspective, right?
Yes.
The negotiator's guide, like when somebody's locked in a building and they're threatening to kill people or something, the negotiator's guide to psychoactive drugs, 2nd edition. You wrote a chapter on that, right?
That's right.
The negotiator's guide. And it goes on and on with the negotiators and things like that. Terrorism negotiators, right? It's fair to say that's your focus?
Correct. Well,
Well, I know you can talk about postpartum, but I mean, I'm asking you if your resume that you prepared, I imagine, well before you were hired by this DA's office, sets forth your interest, right?
yes.
Okay.
The characterization of negotiation as trying to stop killers is not
I'm probably,
accurate.
I'm probably wrong.
Comprehensive.
I apologize. You see it on TV, the negotiators, and they're, trying to help people that are being kidnapped.
On a bridge,
On
in
a bridge,
crisis,
yeah.
something like
Okay.
that. So
Just a few more, Dr. Panels and symposia. You'd agree with, let's see, national security implicate. I just want to run through a quick attachment theory, mental wellness as it relates to threat management, threat assessments, corrections, psychiatry presentations, substance abuse and misuse in prisons, perspective on providing medical support during conflict and chaos, targeted violence in the media, lessons from history, the profiler of poisons, understanding the female extremist, crisis operations, leadership, how to fool doctors by injecting chemicals into muscle to obtain opioids, a prison inmate comes clean. Did I read all those topics correctly, sir?
correct.
Invited lectures, talk about extremism, terrorism, the future of policing, children in long-term abductions, how to prevent terrorism, mass shooters, U.S. prisoners, religious rights, religious radicalization, terrorism and the unknown enemy. Basically, that's what your focus is, sir, correct?
No.
And that's coupled with your experience of the 2 people or so that you recall dealing with in your, it's not a practice, but working for the Bureau of Prisons or the state for Virginia, the people that are in jail, that is the sum total, to be respected, of Dr. Sadoff, correct? I mean, you treated two people. You've written a lot about terrorism and other issues that we went through.
That's not at all a correct characterization.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I read your resume, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I related what you indicated to the jury, your experience when I asked you about patients or treating people. I said that right?
I've been treating patients, and I continue to for the last 40 years.
Now, in all of your experience, sir, have you ever treated a woman suffering from postpartum psychosis?
Yes.
When?
In the late 1980s and also during the 1990s when I ran a unit in a state hospital.
So this would be women, 1980s, about 30 years ago or 20 years ago, depending on which one, in a prison that you were.
No.
Oh, was it?
In a state hospital.
State hospital. Were they
Correct.
committed? Were they there because they wanted to be there, or were they committed by order of the court?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Usually committed.
Okay. So other than that, sir, do you have any interest, writing, knowledge about postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis?
Well, it really is a requirement when you assess and treat women to be aware of their histories and making determinations. So that has continued really throughout my career, men and women.
What did you just say? Can you repeat that again? You're treating women with what?
Treating women with psychiatric problems, serious illness, psychosis.
So when you defined for the district attorney the concept of, let's say, psychosis yesterday, were you referring in any degree to a woman who has had a baby and is in a period of postpartum depression, shall we say?
Yes.
Okay. And when and how were you treating those people?
That was during the period of 15 years when I ran a unit of men and women who came in with serious psychiatric symptoms.
So what would you do? Would you analyze them? Would you talk to them, counsel them? What would you do while they're in the hospital?
Well, do a full assessment with a multidisciplinary team and make determinations about proper treatment, proper therapy, medications and the like to treat the symptoms.
And generally, what would the symptoms be, sir, in your experience?
Symptoms of postpartum depression? Okay. Well, certainly within that period of time around birth or after birth, the DSM has a 4-week period. Others expand that to as much as a year. But certainly depressive symptoms postpartum are similar to the symptoms that you see in a regular depression. You can have suicidality, you can have guilt, changes in appetite, changes in weight, changes in concentration, changes in physical activity. You can also have significant problems with sleep, either sleeping too much or not enough. So these are depressive symptoms that come in the postpartum period and require assessment and treatment.
You aware, sir, in your practice or studies of the number of women that commit suicide during the postpartum period? Are you aware of that?
I can't quote you a figure.
Do you have any clue at all?
No.
Would you agree with me, sir, that one of the unfortunate components who has had a baby and is suffering from postpartum depression and living with it, that can, on a dime, turn into postpartum psychosis very quick, right?
It can be rapid.
And you indicated, sir, that there, according to the DSM, is a 4-week cutoff for symptomology. And then you mentioned that there are others. Is it the World Health Organization that you said that talks about a year?
Correct.
There are some other psychiatric organizations that talk about different periods of time, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, right?
Correct.
So when a woman is dealing with these symptoms and goes to a doctor, or even you, when you're treating, as you indicated 15, 20 years ago that you were treating, is it important to take a blood test?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry, my bad. Is it important to take a blood test?
Is it important to take a blood test?
Yeah, you just went through the whole thing about we're going to have the team and they're going to evaluate and we're going to prescribe. I'm just asking, is it important to take a blood test of the patient?
It can be.
Based on what?
Based on the presenting symptoms, based on the history, based on medical history. For example, if someone has recently been in a hospital and been treated, there may not be a necessity for drawing blood again, depending on the types of symptoms that you encounter. It's not a standard that everyone who presents to a psychiatrist requires blood tests.
So if you're a psychiatrist who's been practicing private practice for about, I don't know, a month, maybe 2, and is prescribing antipsychotic medications, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor medications, benzodiazepine medications to a young woman who is complaining of what the young woman perceives to be difficulties postpartum, is it important to take a blood test to find out what, if any, prescription drugs they have on board in their system?
To check and find out, did you say what drugs are on board?
Yeah, I mean, you're treating this patient, right? And they're coming off the, hypothetically with you, but they're coming off the street to see a psychiatrist for help, right?
Yes.
And if they're already been prescribed drug after drug after drug by a particular doctor with her 2 months of robust experience, is it a fair statement that you should take a blood test of that person?
Well, it really depends on the medication. There are some medications that really require blood tests because of levels and the like. Many psychotropic medications are not easily, there's not an easy test for the amount of medication in the system. So it depends on the circumstances, and it depends on the medication. I mean, for example, lithium or carbamazepine or valproic acid, those are all mood stabilizers. Certainly taking a blood test would be very important. So it depends.
Depends. Can I just ask you to spell those 2 drugs that you just pronounced for the stenographer, please?
Carbamazepine.
Yeah.
Carbamazepine.
Okay.
Valproic acid, VALPROIC acid, also known as valproate, VALPROATE. And did I mention lithium?
Right. That's not a hard one. The record has to be accurate, that's all.
Understood.
Okay. Now, doctor, are there other tests in your experience that are or can be or should be administered to a young woman or a woman who's had a baby and is coming to a doctor like Dr. Tufts, for example? Are there other tests that can be administered to determine if, in fact, that person is suffering from postpartum depression?
I'm not aware of any specific test that specifically diagnoses depression. Years and years
Oh,
ago,
postpartum depression, sir.
pardon me?
Postpartum depression is my question.
Correct.
Depression. I know you want to say it's the same thing, but postpartum depression is my question.
And you're asking if there's a blood test for postpartum
I'm
depression?
asking if there's any tests at all that a psychiatrist can or should administer to the patient coming to them for help.
Well, there's the Edinburgh scale, which is a self-report that patients fill out for who are postpartum.
You looked that up last night?
No.
Well, you knew about the Edinburgh scale?
Yes.
You administered the Edinburgh scale?
Pardon me?
Have you administered the Edinburgh scale?
No. It's a self-report, usually given by nurses.
Nurses, okay. In any event, it's a scale that is a useful tool to determine the level or degree of depression that a person may be expressing that is suffering from postpartum depression, correct?
That's right.
And do you know what the numbers are on the scale? Like, is it 1 to 23 or is it 1 to 50? Or do you know what it is?
It's a 30-point scale.
And when you say
So 1 to 30, as I understand it.
And when you say a self-report, the patient would then advise what symptomology they're suffering at that particular point in time, right?
Correct.
And then the doctor would then determine whether or not there is a risk or an extreme risk or a deadly risk of this person committing suicide, harming someone else, whether it's a baby or anybody else, and determine what the level of their postpartum depression is, right?
Yes, it can help.
And did Dr. Tufts administer Edinburgh test to this young woman?
I know that Ms. Clancy, there were a number of Edinburgh tests that were given to her, so that there are some scores in her record. I can't recall which practitioner gave her the Edinburgh test, but I do recall that there are a number of scores within her medical record.
Right. And what was her highest score?
The highest score that I recall was 23.
23 out of 30, right?
Correct.
And over 15, the patient is in pretty serious trouble, right?
Over 15 is concerning, definitely.
Right. And she was a 23. Right?
Yes, I believe so. I think they ranged from 19 to 23, just
Right,
from my
they
memory.
increased as time went by, right? She was getting worse,
Correct.
right? Yeah. All right. And in addition to the regular blood test, which costs like, I don't know, about $100 to administer a blood test to see what somebody's got in their system. It's not a lot of money, right, for the insurance company.
I just didn't hear you.
Blood test. It's not a lot of money for an insurance company to pay, right? To cover.
Correct.
Okay. So do you feel that it is reasonable medical procedure for a psychiatrist dealing with a woman, the Edinburgh scale off the charts or serious trouble, who is on medication, as we went through? The antipsychotic drugs, the SSRI drugs, the amitriptylines are at the end of the period of treatment with these people, the benzodiazepines. It's helpful to take a blood test, right?
It can be.
And is that, in your opinion, sir, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, a step that should be taken by a competent doctor?
That taking blood tests can be appropriate, yes.
And then there's an additional blood test that you can use when you're dealing with a woman who's suffering from postpartum depression or coming to the doctor for help and they have significant narcotics or prescription drugs in their system, and that would be an enzyme test, right?
I'm not aware of an
Okay.
enzyme test being typically available or used.
Well, it costs a lot of money, doesn't it? Like it costs a couple of grand.
I don't know.
All right. In any event, sir, are there any other concerns that one would have if they're competent and they're treating somebody that's come to them for help in addition to a blood test and perhaps enzyme test to determine the metabolizing aspect of the person's system, metabolizing or processing these drugs that are in their system, the enzyme test? Are there any other tests or concerns that you have with a woman whose postpartum depression complaints come to your doorstep?
Well, depending on the presentation, sometimes it's helpful to check thyroid function. That can certainly be a cause of psychiatric symptoms.
Did they do a thyroid test on Lindsay?
No,
That's not a lot of money that the insurance company would complain about, right?
correct.
One of the things that I just don't want to forget, sir, is that the district attorney asked you, while we're talking about the drugs, about the Lamictal, otherwise known as lamotrigine. Did I pronounce that right?
Lamotrigine, yes.
Lamotrigine. And she said that Lamictal, it has a side effect of a rash, right? You recall that, sir?
I think I said serious rash.
No, I think she said rash. You may, it's up to the jury what their recollection is, but you may have said serious rash, but we both agree it's a serious rash, right?
Yes,
In fact, it can be fatal, right?
in very rare occasions, yes.
It can be fatal, right?
Yes, in very rare occasions.
Well, if one person out of 1,000 gets Stevens-Johnson syndrome or prurigo nodularis as a result of taking that medication, that's something that we should not tolerate as doctors, right?
Risks and benefits are something that every physician, every prescriber needs to think about.
So you've heard of, as it relates to Lamictal as a prescription drug, what's called 10. You've heard of that, right? As a side effect?
Yes,
And that means what?
it is a pretty severe reaction of the skin, as I recall, causing blistering. I mean, it's very significant.
So if you have a young woman who is a nurse, an RN, who worked for 7 years in a very prestigious hospital's labor and delivery unit, who was so nervous about drugs that were being prescribed to her that she would at night sit in her kitchen on her phone and Google all sorts of side effects of narcotics, the drugs, the Seroquel, lamotrigine, all of these drugs. Is it an unreasonable decision for her to say, I don't want to take that drug, in your opinion?
It seems like you're asking, is it reasonable to decide not to take the drug?
Yeah, that's what she did. That's what you told us yesterday. That's what the DA asked you yesterday, right?
It was a decision that she made.
And in your opinion, sir, after we just went through all of this with the TENS, with the toxic epidural necrolysis and all the rest of that, and she's a nurse, and she's looking up these drugs that she's being prescribed and says, I don't wish to take that drug, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of psychiatric certainty, based on your experience. Is that a reasonable decision for her to say, I don't want to take it?
The benefits of that drug are profound, and millions of Americans take that medication and find it to be very important for them.
Doctor, you're an intelligent man, you're a doctor, you've got a lot of experience dealing with the prison system. We've already gone over all of that. You understand my question, don't you? Just
Yes.
asking, is that a reasonable decision for Lindsay to make to say, I don't wish to take that drug? Based on all the side effects, whether or not it's rare that people die, whether or not it's rare that they break out on their skin with these permanent lesions and bleeding pustules, is it reasonable for her to say, I don't want to take it?
In her mind, it was.
Yeah. And certainly, we don't want to leave it with the jury that she's so vain that she just didn't want to take something that she might get a little rash. In any event. Now, have in mind, there's no blood test, there's no enzyme test, for metabolite test, there's no thyroid test, but we still have the pill factory through Dr. Tufts and then into Dr. Gelada for that period of time. You're telling this jury that that is, in your opinion, reasonable little drug doses that she was prescribed? Is that what you're telling this jury, sir?
That it was reasonable to prescribe?
Yeah, the drugs, one right after the other, and then stopping the SSRI, not weaning off, stopping it flat out. Is that reasonable?
Objection.
Sustained, just as to form.
Is it reasonable, sir, in your opinion, to tell someone who's on an SSRI, such as
What on earth? What just happened? What just happened? Did they like get in a fist fight? Oh my God. Someone threw the remote at the TV. Every time it gets gets heated, this happens. This is like the second or third time this has happened. This is crazy. Crazy. I don't know. I saw your guys' comments about like, you know, what you have to do for like basically advocating for yourself. I'm going to talk about advocating in September for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I have so many stories. Oh my God. But with medications and doctors and stuff like that. So my son had a really, really, really rare medical condition. Not a lot of people get it. It's called Bruton's disease. And they had to do like, they wanted to find out if it was like hereditary or not. And so it went to a DNA type medical lab, like research facility. And it was out, I think in Washington, the state of Washington. This is back in like 2010, you guys, like this is a long time ago. And that's not a doctor we saw. It's just some scientist in a lab somewhere. And I never heard from them. And it was months and months. And I got their phone number. Like, I think I got the name of the doctor from the nurse, and then I Googled it, and then I found his facility, and then I just started calling numbers, and I called. The guy gets on the phone and he's like, how did you get this number? I'm like, I'm a mom, man. I'm a mom. I'm going to find your number and I'm going to call and I'm going to get the information about my kid. Yes, it was yes, that's exactly right, Angie. That's it. That's probably the same exact lab because it was a oh, what do they call that when they drill into your spine? Yeah, exactly that. A lumbar puncture. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God, that was another crazy story. Uh-oh, September is going to be on fire over here with crazy stories. Yep, and I called to get the results and I got the paperwork. I'm like, "Send me the report. I want everything." I think I still have it somewhere. I have so much stuff. We spent 2 years in a hospital and I got a daily lab report, daily, and I saved every single one. I would ask so many questions. The nurses were like, "Do you work in the medical industry?" I'm like, "No, I'm a teacher." Uh, that's what we do. Mama, they say mama bear for a reason. Mama bear for a reason. What is going on? Let me see what their chat is saying. Where's the chat? Where's their chat? How do I find their chat? I probably got to click on it. Oh, live chat right here. Open panel. There it is. I don't want that. Okay. WTF, did we lose video? Oh, someone else is streaming. Let me check. Law and Crime is working. All right. Come on, AP. What are you doing? Sorry, guys. We'll get it right back. Associated Press. There we go. We can back it up. Law and Crime.
Ms. Clancy expressed concerns that she was not.
I wonder if they even lost. Did they lose? Did it happen to them? I'm just seeing.
You know, is nervous because they have an exam coming up, or they just can't sleep because maybe they're worried about this. And Lindsay was suffering very serious insomnia, according to the medical records and her statements to her
Did we hear this part?
That's right.
And in fact, when Tufts increased the SSRI 25 to 50, she went 48 hours straight without being able to sleep, right?
That's in the record. Yes.
And she went pretty much immediately to Tufts and complained about that. And said,
Oh,
"I can't
wow,
sleep
Witchy.
48
That's
hours.
amazing.
Yes. I think that was around the 21st of October.
And in your experience with dealing with terrorism and terrorist threats and things like that, would you agree with me that sleep deprivation is used as a torture?
It can be, yes.
And in fact, the side effects, if you will, of a person who's suffering from serious insomnia can actually lead to psychosis, can it not?
Yes, it's possible.
You're aware that while she's living in her house with her husband, Pat, and their 3 kids, that by all accounts, she was a happy mother, wife, friend, daughter, all of the above, right?
No.
So as the summer progressed, is it your understanding from Dr. Sadoff's investigation in this case that Lindsay Clancy and her husband, Pat, and their kids during the summer of 22 were not living their best life, enjoying life?
The summer was very good from Callan's birth really through much of August. through the time that Patrick Clancy was at home, that first 12 weeks was really quite good.
And then it went sideways, right? She started having some concern about anxiety, right?
She did.
That brought her to Dr. Tufts' office. Oh, brought her to talk to Dr. Tufts on the telemedicine, right?
Correct.
And then she started getting her prescriptions, such as the SSRI at 25, SSRI increased to 50, 48 hours without sleep, went back to Dr. Tufts, more medications prescribed, right?
Yes.
Was she in rough shape in October of 2022 after dealing with Tufts for about 3 weeks?
She was certainly having difficulty, although the Benadryl and the Ativan were very helpful for sleep.
Okay. I'm just going to grab this item here. I'm just going to kind of hold it. In your investigation, and look, you did look at the text messages and all the stuff that was on Lindsay's phone. Right?
Yes.
Her life was pretty much turned inside out, right? I mean, government got access to every text message she sent, right?
Yes.
Every email that she sent, right?
Yes.
Every memo that she wrote on her phone or on her computer or whatever, right?
Yes.
Every journal entry that she ever wrote during this period of time, we have it all, don't we?
Yes.
And in October 20th, sir, did you see this text where she texted her mother and said, "Mom, will you please come up and stay with me a bit? I'm really sick. Something's wrong. I had horrible insomnia all night. I just don't know how I'm going to get through the day. I started to take medicine the doctor prescribed for anxiety, and I think it's made things worse. It's just really scary. And I don't." Did you see that?
Yes.
So she wasn't doing well in October, was she?
Correct.
And continued to see Tufts, right?
Yes.
Gelada, right?
Nurse practitioner Paul and then Gelada. Yes.
Okay. Now, in your investigation of the medical records, would you agree with me that Lindsay was not running around from doctor to doctor to try to physician shop, to try to get drugs so that she could get high or use the drugs? That's not what she was doing, was it?
Ms. Clancy expressed concerns that she was not following a plan and that it would have been better for her had she tried to stick with a plan.
Is that one sentence in all of the medical records where it makes reference to the fact that she said something like, I should have stuck with the plan? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. My question, sir, was Dr. Tufts, Dr. Paul, Dr. Gelada.
Nurse practitioner Paul and
I
Gelada.
apologize again. That's
All right.
my bad. Nurse practitioner Gelada. Up to that point, bringing us into November, these people and other emergency room visits that she had, she was not going out looking to score drugs off of drug prescriptions. Is that fair?
Correct.
And she, in fact, looked up Tufts, but she didn't even know who Tufts was. She went online and Googled postpartum depression and found an expert. Isn't that right?
That's my understanding.
But she was only practicing for like a month or two. Was she, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree, a psychiatric certainty, an expert?
Objection.
Overall.
It depends on the amount of training that she received, not just as a physician and a resident, but also in the area of women's health.
So the young lady goes online, Googles, trying to get help, goes to see the expert, Dr. Tufts, ultimately deals with nurse practitioner Gelada, and counselor that worked in that medical field business. Letitia Dukes, I believe is her name.
Right.
And then she had the need to go to an emergency room and went to Mass General Hospital, right?
That's right.
And she was with her husband, Pat, right?
Correct.
And she had been complaining about lack of sleep, insomnia, right?
Yes, as I understand.
She had been complaining about inability to emote, feeling hollow, not myself, right?
Correct.
And a number of other complaints that were brought to the fore. And the hospital made a recommendation that she go to McLean Hospital, which is a locked ward mental institution in Massachusetts. And she chose not to do that, correct?
That's right.
So then what she did is went back to her home and immediately hooked up again, if you will, with Tufts, right?
That's right.
In December, one of the people at the South Shore perinatal unit advised her to go to a hospital that specializes in postpartum women. That would be Women and Infants Hospital in Rhode Island, right?
That's right.
And she went there like the next day, right after they called, right?
Yes, I think they fit her in pretty quickly. Was it maybe the 20th of December?
And her husband dropped her off for that day program, right?
That's right.
And she participated with the coloring, with the conferences or with the discussions, and evaluations with the doctor, right?
Yes,
For about 8 hours. It was about an 8-hour day, right?
something like that.
And on that day, in December 20th, she was turned away, basically, right?
I don't know that I would term it turned away
Did they help her?
by Dr. Diaz's notes, but
Did they help her?
pardon me?
Did they help her?
They felt that another program might be more appropriate, either inpatient or partial hospitalization or outpatient, just based upon her concerns about medication.
And her concerns about the symptomology of postpartum depression, right? That's why she was there.
She was having depressive symptoms, yes.
Right. And that's in addition to, everybody wants to say GAD, 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 general anxiety, depression. This woman was there for treatment of postpartum depression, right?
She was there for treatment of depression. I was under the impression that most of the women who were in that program were much closer to had given birth to their children. And so in that respect, it was not the group that they served were much closer to that postpartum period, as I understand.
You're not going to say to this jury that because Lindsay was outside of the, let's say, 4-month cutoff, that she was not a good candidate for postpartum depression treatment? Is that what you told us, Jim?
No,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said because of the time frame from giving birth to the time that she went to see them.
I was just speaking about my understanding from the note from Women and Infants in terms of their decision-making.
Okay. And Women and Infants basically discharged her after about 8 hours, right?
Yes,
And her husband was up skiing, and then she contacted him, and he had to come down and pick her up and bring her home, right?
that's right.
And the reason that she was discharged from Infants Hospital in Rhode Island included a statement, RO, rule out issues regarding prescription medications, correct?
Yes, that's my recollection.
And she indicated that she was going to go right back to Tufts, right?
Yes,
And she did, didn't she?
yes, as I understand.
And would you agree, sir, that every time a doctor said to Lindsay to do something, whether it was to make an appointment somewhere, whether it was to take another drug, any advice that she was on it immediately. Is that fair?
She attended her appointments, yes.
Well, not just that, she attended them right away. She was told, for example, at McLean, you read those records, that she should hook up with her provider, and she did the very next day, right?
Yes.
Okay. So she wasn't avoiding seeing healthcare professionals, was she?
No.
And she was continuing to express concern about her state of mind. She felt that her mind, her brain was being damaged. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Those are in the records, right?
Correct.
And she felt that her brain being damaged was permanent and she was never going to get better, right?
Yes.
She was complaining not just to her physicians, but she was complaining to people in her community that she was having intrusive thoughts, dark thoughts, suicidal thoughts, and homicidal ideation. She said that, correct?
The homicidal ideation, as I understand, was just voiced to her husband and her mother.
Just voiced? Is that what you just said? Just voiced? Is that like talking about the Red Sox? She's talking about homicidal ideation of her children.
Sustained. Next question.
I asked you about her complaints of intrusive thoughts, complaining to doctors, complaining to friends, complaining to neighbors, family about dark, intrusive thoughts of suicide and homicidal ideation. Didn't she?
I just don't recall that she complained of homicidal ideation to
Okay, so-
healthcare providers.
Finish answering.
I think, Doc, you finished? Did you finish the answer? Doctor, did you finish that last answer?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Next question.
So we'll put homicidal ideation aside for a minute. Would you agree that for that period of time, short as it may have been in her life, November into December, that she was reaching out to people that would listen to her for help?
Yes.
Would you agree, sir, that she would tell, for example, neighbors or friends with the Learning Sprout School, her family, her doctors, that she was having these dark, intrusive thoughts of suicide? Yes or no?
Did you ask whether or not she was telling her children's teachers at Learning Sprouts?
Anyone that she would come in contact with at Learning Sprouts, whether it's another mother, whether it's a friend, whether it's a teacher, whether it's an administrator, whether it's somebody that just watches the kids in the playground, did she tell anyone that she had dark, intrusive thoughts to your investigation?
Those people that you named, I wasn't aware that she informed them about that.
When someone says, with her history up to this point in December, that they're having dark, intrusive thoughts to a professional, in your opinion, sir, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, does it make sense that the professional should ask the person whether or not these are voices that they're hearing in their head, or whether or not they are just thoughts that they're having?
Certainly exploring that is important.
And would you agree with me, sir, that when you have a young woman that, again, by all accounts, done nothing wrong in her life, exemplary citizen, has these issues and sees the doctors, that to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, a physician should do a little bit more than asking, do you have a plan? I mean, is that accepted practice just to say, do you have a plan? And if they say no, you're okay.
I wasn't aware that that was the only question.
Okay. She was also told that counsel had asked you yesterday about other recommendations that were given to her by women and infants, and that you said that she did not follow through on that, but she did see Dr. Tufts pretty much the next day, right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, and she said that she was going to go see Dr. Tufts the next day, right?
Yes.
And just to mention, before I forget it, the Lamictal, I think you mentioned to the jury that she had a prescription for Lamictal that she was able to fill, right?
Correct.
But she didn't take it, right?
That's right.
And then Tufts told her that she was going to, she meaning Tufts, was going to give her a script for Lamictal. And she said, no, I already have one, right?
It was Nurse Gelada.
Okay, sorry.
She had gotten the prescription and filled it from Dr. Tufts. And Nurse Gelada, when asked about the Lamictal, was very favorable about it and said, yes, that's great. That would be great.
Sir, I know. You want to tell me that it's a wonderful drug. Did she tell nurse practitioner Gelada, I already have a script, I don't need it?
Yes.
Among other things, when people are in trouble and they're having dark suicidal thoughts, whether or not it's voices in their head, whether or not it's thoughts that they can't go on anymore, they can't live life, they have to kill themselves, many times they're told to call suicide hotlines, right?
Yes. Aspire.
Aspire. What is Aspire?
I don't know what it stands for, but it is a hotline that Ms. Clancy called twice because of her suicidal ideation.
When did she call Aspire saying that she had thoughts of killing herself?
I can't recall specifically.
But she did call them not once but twice and told them. So she complained and told them that she was going to kill herself, right? Twice. Right?
She spoke to them about suicidality.
So here's a young woman with all of what she's been through who now is to the verge of killing herself and reaches out to people that her health care providers told her to call for help, said that she was going to kill herself, and what did Aspire do?
As I understand, they redirected her to her provider. They did not make a decision to hospitalize or to recommend hospitalization.
They didn't make a decision to do anything.
Objection.
Yeah, so you could form that as a question, please.
Did you read the records dealing with Aspire? Did they do anything other than tell her, no, you're not someone that we can help?
I know that they were not responsive to her suicidality because she did not indicate that she had a plan.
And did you read a transcript or listen to a tape, or how do you know that?
I recall it someplace in the documents it being referred to. But I can't tell you exactly where.
So this, sir, obviously is a murder trial, and you are a witness for the government, and you've indicated that you've read the records. You just told this jury that in the conversation that she had with the people from Aspire that she expressed suicidal ideation and was asked if she had a plan. Where are you getting that from?
I can't tell you exactly within the records.
How about the second time she called Aspire? Why would she call Aspire again if they wouldn't help her the first time? In your opinion, as a psychiatrist, looking for help?
Continuing to seek help.
And yet again, she didn't get any, did she?
That's my understanding.
To a reasonable degree of psychiatric certainty with treating the patients to the extent that you've told this jury that you have, what kind of a devastating effect would that have on a person who's ready to kill themselves that's called Aspire hotline twice and has been turned away?
Objection.
Overruled.
It could have a very serious effect.
And after being discharged from Women and Infants Hospital and reaching out to Aspire, you'd agree with me that one of the concerns that the doctor at Women's Hospital in Rhode Island had is the medication that she had been prescribed by Topsin nurse practitioner Gelada, right?
Correct.
And that's one of the reasons that they could not treat her. It wasn't just that, no, we don't think that you're postpartum depressed. We just think that there's a complicated overlay involving the medications that you've been prescribed, right?
Yes.
And these medications obviously included selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, right?
Yes. Prozac and Zoloft.
Right. And one of the things that a doctor would be concerned about, especially with a woman who's had a baby and has stopped breastfeeding the baby, is the effect that that may have on the woman, physically, mentally, emotionally, when they stop breastfeeding a baby, right?
Yes.
And you've heard of gamma aminobutyric acid, otherwise known as GABA, right?
Yes.
And can you tell us, please, what that is, sir?
I'm sorry.
Can you tell us, please, what that is, sir? What is GABA?
I believe that you're referring to Lyrica.
No, I'm asking about the actual acid in the person's system, their blood, that is gamma amina bulyc acid. It's got nothing to do with lamictal. It's got nothing to do with Seroquel. It's got nothing to do with the drug industry. This is in the body. When a woman stops lactating, a woman stops breastfeeding.
Yes.
There is a physical effect on the person, the body, right?
Yes.
What is that effect?
It depends on the individual. There's variable responses postpartum, and as I understand, she stopped breastfeeding around October, by October 21st or so, when the Ativan was started.
Would you agree with me, sir, that the GABA, make it easy to type, is basically affects, its primary effect is on the neurotransmitters in the brain, right?
Yes.
Okay. That sounds pretty complicated. Neurotransmitters, I mean, is that like where you have a spark plug on a motorcycle and you can actually gap it and get it to kick over? It's a neurotransmitter in the brain. That sounds like it.
Well, yeah, it's more complicated than
I
that,
figured.
obviously.
But nevertheless, it's still basically, you're talking about the actual organic matter of the brain, right?
Yes,
And would you agree, sir, that when a woman is pregnant, that there are progesterone hormone surges during that pregnancy?
yes, there are hormonal changes.
Their hormone doesn't just change, it can actually surge, and it can be quite impactful to the person, right?
Yes,
And would you agree with me, sir, that one of the metabolites of progesterone, which has been unleashed when a woman is pregnant, with the progesterone hormone surging through their body, that you have a metabolite that actually enhances or increases the GABA activity of the neurons in the brain, right?
it can, yes.
And what is that metabolite, sir, that increases that activity in the very organ of the brain?
I can't tell you.
Is it a allopregnanolone? If you know?
No,
No, it's not, or no, you don't know?
I don't know.
Immediately after a woman has a baby, would you agree, sir, that the progesterone that we just talked about and the allopregnanolone that you don't know about drops precipitously according to the medical treatises, right?
If he knows, he can answer that.
Yes,
And what does that mean, sir? Tell me, when it says that the progesterone and the allopregnanolone in the body drops precipitously. What does that mean, precipitously?
that means rapidly.
And a sudden drop, sir, you would agree has a significant potential of causing serious GABA dysfunction, right?
That certainly would be possible.
Do you know that, or are you just agreeing with me?
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. Do you want me to keep going?
Want to take a short break at this?
I don't care. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, why don't we take the morning recess at this point? All right.
Court, all rise, please. Jurors, kindly close your notebooks. Please go to chairs. This way, please.
Jurors have exited the courtroom.
All right, Counsel, can I see you at sidebar, just briefly? Doc.
Okay, guys. Since they are at morning recess, I am going to play. Lawyer Lee had a really good reaction. Actually, like an analysis of yesterday, and she pointed out. Let me get her. She pointed out things that Kevin Reddington said yesterday that had to do with like the TikTok theories and stuff like that about Patrick, the husband. So I think it's she had really good points. She pointed out things in the trial yesterday that I didn't catch myself. Getting it pulled up.
It's not a plan, that sort of thing.
You got this girl living in her house with her kids, saying she's having dark thoughts, saying she's thinking of harming the children.
Wrong one.
And Patrick's response.
Hold on. Where are you at? Was TikTok right? Was TikTok?
Patrick's response, according to your testimony, is just basically just power through it. You'll be okay.
There we go.
TikTok has entered the courtroom. For the first time, Lindsay's lawyer hinted at what had so far only been dark rumors on the internet. What if Patrick Clancy is not telling the truth? What if Lindsay Clancy's own memories of what happened that night can't be trusted? And what does that do to the prosecution's murder case against her? Right now, the prosecution has its very top expert witness on the stand, Gregory Satoff, a psychiatrist with extensive experience with psychosis. So far, it's going well, but will he do well on cross-examination? Because the first two prosecution experts, Dr. Halbrin and Dr. Mack, did not fare well under the withering cross-examination of Lindsay's attorney, Kevin Reddington. The trial has reached a fever pitch. Tomorrow, we should finish the testimony. Closing arguments are expected Thursday, and then the jury begins deliberations. Hi, y'all. I'm Lawyer Lee. Please hit the like button and let's dive in. It began as a rumor on TikTok, the idea that Patrick Clancy may have murdered his 3 children and somehow framed his wife, Lindsay Clancy. They're now divorced. But Lindsay Clancy, is on trial for the crime right now. The theory on its face seems to make no sense. Why would Lindsay proceed forward to trial if she knew she was being framed? Wouldn't her lawyer insist that Patrick be held to account and at a minimum cross-examine him on what he did? But today, her lawyer opened the courtroom door to that very theory. Now, here's what happened. From the beginning, one of the confusing questions has been why Patrick left the house to pick up dinner and left Lindsay alone with their children if he believed she might harm them. In his testimony, he explained that she, in fact, had told him that she had thoughts of harming their children, but he said she only told him that once in November. By January 24th, the day the children were killed, he said he thought she was better. Here's how the defense headed into this territory. Dr. Halbrin, a psychologist testifying for the prosecution, was on the stand. You will hear him talk first in this clip. Then Lindsay's lawyer will ask a question and it will go back to Dr. Halbrin. Dr. Halbrin is talking about when Lindsay told Patrick that she was having dark thoughts.
A couple of times she said, I'm having thoughts, and he asked her, give me more detail if you could. And she said, they're just thoughts. It's not a plan, that sort of thing.
You got this girl living in her house with her kids, saying she's having dark thoughts, saying she's thinking of harming the children. And Patrick's response, according to your testimony, is just basically just power through it. You'll be okay.
Objection.
No, overruled.
Huh?
No, that was not his response as he described it. He asked more questions because one of the things that she had been dealing with for some time are thoughts about hurting herself and possibly the kids. And so what he did was try to get more information about the details. He asked questions that a mental health professional would also ask, which is how often, what are they like? Do you have a plan? Things like that. And she pretty consistently said, no, I don't have a plan. And this is how often it happens, but they're just thoughts.
The defense goes straight to the most confusing part of the testimony. Why would Patrick leave Lindsay alone with the kids? Or for that matter, alone? She might not have mentioned the idea of harming the kids for a couple of months, but she had mentioned suicidal ideation. She was just 3 weeks out from staying in a psychiatric unit. Dr. Halburn defends Patrick, saying that Patrick asked the right questions and tried to do the right things. And then the defense dove straight in. For the first time, we have the defense suggesting that maybe Patrick Clancy is lying. Maybe we can't believe him. The idea has the potential to dramatically change the way a lot of the testimony gets interpreted. I'll take you through more testimony from today to show you what I mean. But let's start with the moment itself, the moment when the defense suggested that maybe Patrick Clancy had lied.
Now, one of the other things that you had made reference to, sir, is that you relied on is when her husband came home and found Lindsay on the ground in the snow after she had jumped out the window. He spoke with her, is what you told us, jury, right?
Yes.
And can you tell us again what it is that he said to her and what she said to him?
He said, "What did you do?" And she said, "I tried to kill myself." And then he said, "Where are the kids?" And she said, "In the basement."
Now, what is your source of that information, sir?
It was in the records, and I also did a collateral interview with Patrick Clancy.
Did you listen to the 911 tape?
No, I did not.
If I tell you, would you be surprised, sir, that she had significant damage, not only to her back, her spine, and was hemorrhaging, but also to her throat?
No, I would not be surprised. She injured herself very badly when she jumped out that window.
If I suggest to you, sir, that if you listen to the 911 tape as it relates to Patrick Clancy interacting with her, that she can only make grunting noises, would you be surprised at that?
I would be surprised, yes.
And you never listened to that tape?
I did not.
We know that all of the EMTs said that Lindsay could not speak when they got there. And everything we know about what was said comes solely and only from Patrick. If Lindsay truly was unable to speak, then how did Patrick supposedly hear her say, "I tried to kill myself"? And even more importantly, how did he know to get up and sprint to the basement when the paramedics arrived and took over the care of Lindsay? He ran straight for the basement, and the call recorded the moment when he discovered the children's bodies. He said he knew where to run to the basement because Lindsay told him that's where the children were. The defense is suggesting that Lindsay didn't tell him to go look in the basement, that even the 911 call shows that Lindsay couldn't speak. She could only grunt. I have believed since the beginning that it was a mistake to keep the 911 call sealed. Patrick was still on the phone with 911 when he discovered the children's bodies, and people who heard the recording in court said that his screams could not conceivably have been faked. But by preventing the public from hearing the call, the court has left the public to speculate without the actual information it would have provided. I hope they will release it. I believe strongly that for everyone's sake, and including for Patrick Clancy's sake, that they need to do that. And then the defense asked a question that takes this into much more startling territory. What if Lindsay's memories of what she did aren't true? If she was truly in psychosis, then maybe she only thinks she remembers killing the children.
With me, sir, that if a person has a memory while they're in a psychosis, that it's very possible that they could be imagining that they did something, but in fact, the facts, objective facts, would show she didn't.
It's possible that being in an actively psychotic condition could affect the way information is processed and therefore could affect the accuracy of their memory.
So, for example, she told you that after she slashed her wrists and after she tried to slit her throat, that she used the knife to cut the screen before she threw herself out the window, right?
Yes.
Was the screen cut?
I understand that it was not.
Did that give you pause?
There are a number of things that I don't think are all that important in terms of memory difficulties and accuracy of memory, and that was one of them.
Do you recall this morning indicating that you recounted that Lindsay told you that she felt, quote, like it wasn't her, end quote, as though she were watching herself commit the killings and that she was simply responding to the voice rather than consciously deciding what to do. Do you remember saying that this morning?
I do, yes.
The beauty of this argument for the defense is that it turns the state's arguments upside down. For example, the prosecution has been chasing down the idea that Lindsay lied about cutting the screen. I never fully understood how that was going to help them. Why would Lindsay lie about that? How is that going to help her? Or why does that matter? But now, suddenly, the prosecution's efforts to prove that there was no screen, that Lindsay lied, have become proof of the defense's theory that Lindsay doesn't really know what happened. Somehow she has a false memory or a false story that doesn't fit with the facts. And why? The defense suggests it all comes back to Patrick. He is the one with the damning evidence against Lindsay. He is the one who says she sent him out of the house, although there were text messages too. And he's the one who says what her words were. I want to be very clear here that I am not saying that I agree with the defense theory, but I want you to see how it whiplashes a lot of the arguments. Suddenly, the jury has a brand new way to understand some of the arguments. Lindsay was dismissed from the partial hospitalization program at Women and Infants in Rhode Island. The defense has insisted it is because the program said Lindsay was over-medicated with psych medicines. But how did the Women and Infants program get that idea?
Because her symptoms occurred late in postpartum period and are not clearly related to perinatal factors, the patient was advised that the WIH-DHP, which would be the Women and Infants Hospital postpartum program, is not a suitable treatment facility for her. This was discussed with both patient and husband, and both are in agreement with this. Patient's husband feels strongly that patient has been over-medicated and misdiagnosed, correct?
Yes.
And so it was Patrick who said that she was over-medicated, correct?
Well, he was one of the two of them who said that. She also thought that she was over-medicated.
So if the Women and Infants program thought that Lindsay was over-medicated, it was because Patrick and Lindsay said so. By now, Lindsay has been interviewed by multiple experts for both sides and by the doctors at Brigham and Women's, where she was treated right after she made an unaliving attempt and became paralyzed. Dr. Gregory Satoff, a psychiatrist who works with the FBI at Quantico, was the prosecution's final expert and is still on the stand. He told the jury there were inconsistencies with Lindsay's story. Lindsay told some experts that she first heard that commanding voice that told her to kill the children and kill herself, that she heard it just after Patrick called her from CVS.
You mentioned the defendant told you that when she received the call from her husband at 5:33 and called him back at 5:34, that she was getting dinner ready for her children, correct?
Yes.
And did she tell you what she was about to get out of the refrigerator?
Yes, she said she was at the refrigerator and that the refrigerator door was open and that she was getting chicken nuggets out of the refrigerator section for her children.
Now, in your collateral interview with Patrick Clancy, did you learn from him that when he left the residence, the children were already eating chicken nuggets on the couch?
Yes.
And did Patrick Clancy tell you that Dawson in particular was eating chicken nuggets and green beans out of a bowl on the couch?
Yes, that's what he told me.
Patrick called Lindsay after he got to CVS and couldn't find the right medication. We've seen a video of Patrick at CVS, and we know the timestamp of that phone call. Lindsay told the defense experts it was right after that phone call when she heard the voice. And what it said was, you have to kill your kids and then kill yourself. But she told some experts that the voice began before she spoke to Patrick on the phone, not after.
There are also other accounts that she made to individuals that were quite a bit different. To Dr. Spinelli, for example, she said that the voice happened at 5:10 or 5:15 p.m. as soon as Patrick Clancy left on his errands, and that the voice. She described the voice to Dr. Spinelli as kind of increasing in intensity, but saying, "This is your last chance. You have to kill your kids before you kill yourself." But also that it was that her children would suffer if she did not do that. When I asked her about the voice that she heard, again, she said that it started really right after the telephone call at 5:34 with her husband, Patrick. And she said it was a man's voice. It was very clear. It was external. In other words, it came from outside of her head. That it was constant. So this phrase, "This is your last chance. You have to kill your kids and then kill yourself," was something that was repeated over and over and over and over again during that period that she strangled her children. And then just as soon as it started, it stopped at when she had finished killing the children.
Dr. Sadhoff is saying there were actually two inconsistencies: when the voice started, but also what it said. Lindsay told Sadhoff that the voice just said, "This is your last chance. You have to kill your kids and then kill yourself." And it said that in a loop over and over. The voice did not say that the children would suffer if she didn't unalive them, like Lindsay told Dr. Spinelli it did. And if Patrick's story is true, that the kids were eating when he left, then Lindsay's story has a third inconsistency. She said she was standing at the refrigerator door getting out dinner things for the kids. But Patrick said Dawson was already eating on the couch when he left. And there is a piece of physical evidence that supports Patrick's story.
Is it fair to say that there are crime scene photographs showing a bowl on the couch?
Yes.
And so is there any significance to you in the defendant telling you that when she got the phone call from Patrick, when he's at CVS, that she's making chicken nuggets versus Patrick and telling you that that had already happened and the crime scene photos showing you the bowl was already on the couch?
Well, it's inconsistent. Certainly, that's a cause for significant concern. One of them is not correct in their statement.
Dr. Satov said that Lindsay's story about hearing a voice did not add up in several ways. First, she had never mentioned a voice to any mental health provider.
What was significant to me is that she had not spoken about hearing voices before that in any of the mental health professionals, the psychiatrists, the nurse practitioners, the physicians.
Secondly, the doctor found it very unusual that the voices had stopped immediately after Lindsay killed the third child, Callan, her baby.
Doctor, based on your training and experience in dealing with diagnosing and treating people who have psychosis, and what you've learned in all your training and schooling, is it typical for someone in psychosis to hear a voice only one time, never before, never after?
No.
And again, based on your training and experience, is it typical for someone in psychosis to hear a voice that's constant rather than intermittent?
No, that is not typical.
And is it typical, based on your training and experience, for someone to hear command hallucinations and then for them to stop abruptly?
No. Committing the act is not curative of the voice. I've not ever seen that. It's absolutely not typical.
The doctor insisted some of Lindsay's actions did not make logical sense, like the fact that she searched for directions to the 3V restaurant and only then asked Patrick if he would go there.
Patrick told me that they had never gotten takeout from 3B. He named West End Grill and Chestnut Grill as places that were in Duxbury and close by that they liked and that they often got takeout from. They had been to 3V and they liked it. They had gone as a family, but they had never gotten takeout there, takeout from 3B. And so presenting not just the idea of takeout, but how about 3V? And she had already done lots of checking about distance and the like. I thought was inconsistent.
He also thought that Lindsay was claiming not to remember details that she really should remember.
I asked Ms. Clancy about what she remembered about what she said to Dawson to get him to go down the steps and leave his sister and brother upstairs, and was there resistance, verbalization, et cetera, crying. And she said she could not recall that.
Lindsay said she couldn't remember details about killing Cora or Callan either. She couldn't even remember where Callan was when she went to get him before killing him.
And I asked her, I said, where was Callan? Upstairs. And she said, well, maybe in a playpen, often, she said she couldn't really remember.
But you can see where this argument might flip if the defense goes further into the argument that Lindsay Clancy doesn't remember because Lindsay Clancy is not the one who committed the crime. That is a logical extension of the argument that they have now been talking about, or at least suggesting they may make. Dr. Satov was doubtful that Lindsay could possibly have forgotten how this killing went down. For one thing, he said it had to have been a pretty difficult process.
Dr. Resnick described Ms. Clancy as acting as if she were a puppet, but the children are not puppets. And just in looking at the Cape Codder video where Ms. Clancy is holding Callan and Dawson and Cora are there. I mean, they both are active. They can walk, they can run.
Dr. Satov was the prosecution's showcase expert. He works for the FBI. He's a professor. Unlike some of the other prosecution experts, he has real experience in postpartum issues and a wealth of experience in psychosis issues. He did well on direct examination, but how will he fare on cross-examination? We'll have to wait until tomorrow to find out. In the morning session, we heard the remaining portion of Dr. Halbern's testimony. Halbern is a psychologist who evaluated Lindsay Clancy for the prosecution. He didn't fare well at all on cross-examination, but before things went south, he made these points. First, when Lindsay woke up in the hospital, she made this potentially damning statement.
Did you also ask her about her statement at Brigham and Women's when she woke up and said she was horrified?
I did. Now, that statement was not a statement so much as it was a written. She woke up in having regained consciousness that evening. She was intubated, so she couldn't speak. But they asked her questions, and she wrote down the answer, and they asked her, how are you feeling or what's your mood? And what she said was,
Okay, guys, lots of telling information in there, isn't there? Like, it makes you think, especially when I hear Kevin Reddington pointing out those inconsistencies. I feel like we all wondered, does he think that about Patrick? More than just using it as a defense, more than using it as reasonable doubt. Does he really think that's what happened? I don't think he's been that direct yet, and I don't know if he would be in this trial. One of the things that I would love to see the data for is how long, because Patrick was a runner. He was a marathon runner. And one of the theories out there was that could he have driven to CVS, ran home? He'd have to stay off cameras, because I'm wondering, did they show neighborhood camera footage? Did they search neighborhood camera footage? Did they themselves have a Blink camera at their house? Could he have, so that's my question. Like, we know the distance, but how long would it take, like, an average runner to run back and forth between the house and CVS? I think it was 3 miles, I want to say. So I can walk 3 miles in an hour about. So I'm not speed walking. Like a 20-minute mile, I walk. So running is going to be probably half that, 10 minutes for a mile. So I don't, and then how long was he gone from the house? He was gone from the house for 35 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, something like that, I believe. So, all right, let me see if they're back. And then the other thing, they are back. Okay. Before we go back to the hearing, everybody's blowing up about Brian Kohberger's appeal. So let me see what we got going on real quick. I know Sarah D. Irish on Twitter. I always call it Twitter, you guys. Sarah D. Irish on Twitter posted that there were 4 new, I didn't see the actual documents earlier. They updated the case log, like the case file. Let me see here. This one. Nope. I don't know. I was seeing stuff. Any news? Well, I guess I better look on my phone, because I was seeing all these notifications. And I know that it's about the post-conviction relief. So the judge is supposed to rule on Brian Kohberger's post-conviction relief within 30 days. And I guess today is day 30. And I know Kathy's Indie Zone did a video on it. Let's see. Here's a link. What does this say? Yeah, it's the docket, but not documents yet. So like orders and stuff. So it says yesterday, I can't see what that is. Petition for post-conviction relief. I don't know what that is. The transcript, request for the transcript. Respondent's motion for order dismissing petition for post-conviction relief. So is he going to deny it? And then it looks like, and then it says setting hearings, order governing procedures, setting hearings, status conference, 1:30 p.m. Oh, June 3rd, status conference, 1:30 p.m. So there must be a response, but it's not released to us yet. And there will be a hearing, a status hearing at 1:30 p.m. on June 3rd. 2027. I don't see it. Where does it say? Oh my God, it does say. Yeah, oh duh, we're in August. What on earth? Is that even legal? A status conference in we're in August, 10 months. We'll give you the status of the case in 10 months, you guys. Crashing out. Oh my God. That dude's got some, oh my gosh, some nerve. Sorry, you guys. Sorry for the noises. Oh my, that's when the WSU lawsuit starts. Oh my God. Okay, you guys. So typical. That's typical. Cojones. Yes. Unbelievable. All right, we're going to get back to this hearing now. I'm going to watch this hearing for 45 more minutes, and then at 12:45, I'm going to end this stream no matter where they're at. We can get caught up tomorrow. And then I have received a FOIA request of an interview. It's all posted on my community post. I put the receipt showing everything they charged for. So if you're curious, this is an interview of Maddie's ex-boyfriend. It is from Idaho State Police report number 179. And we're going to watch it together at 1:00 this afternoon. It's an hour and 15 minutes long. I have not listened to every minute of it. I did kind of skim through it, listened to most of the beginning. There are redactions. So we'll see. We'll see what we get out of it. But this seems to be a person that knew Maddie before college. But he goes to WSU a lot. And he knows Maddie, he knows Kaylee, he knows Xana a little bit. So, this interview, hopefully it's going to be good and we'll get some information out of it. That's going to be at 1 p.m. All right, let's get on with this.
This court is back in session, you may be seated.
For the purpose of the record, we return back to Tyler County of Lindsay Clancy, all parties are present, speaking in jury.
All right, counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes, Ron.
Yes.
That's interesting information, Jen. Thank you. I knew about the watch. Carlos and I are heading out this like early evening after the interview live. We're going to be heading out. Yep.
This court's now in session. Please be seated.
Thanks, Angie. Yep. We're going to go have a fun night together.
All right, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, when we left off, I believe the question was that, and you agreed, the sudden drop can cause significant GABA dysfunction. Recall that question where we broke off talking about the,
Yes.
The gamma? And you're familiar with the concept of, in that regard, talking about the gamma aminal butyric acid and its effect on the progesterone and its effect on the brain synapses, is referred to as breaks, B-R-E-A-K-S. You've heard of that term, right?
No.
You aware, sir, that when you get to the point where you have that precipitous drop in the progesterone and the allopregnanolone dropping precipitously, that in fact it constitutes and causes significant neurotransmitter malfunction, referred to as broken brakes?
I'm not familiar with that term.
Can you tell me what a neurotransmitter in the brain is?
You're asking what is a neurotransmitter?
Sure. I don't know.
Neurotransmitters function in the brain and have responsibility for not only aspects of mood, but also psychosis. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is significant in terms of psychosis when it's too high. We need it. But the neurotransmitters function in a number of different ways, number of different pathways. When we think about psychiatry, we really think about the mesolimbic pathway and not just dopamine, but also serotonin, norepinephrine. And so depending on the disorder, there are different medications that can be helpful in treating those disorders. So really, from the standpoint of psychiatric illness and brain dysfunction, medication can be very helpful in regulating the neurotransmitters and difficulties.
Have you heard of the broken brakes hypothesis as it relates to the impact of the precipitous drop of progesterone in the enhancement of the GABA activity? Have you heard of that concept?
No.
Would you agree, sir, that when a woman is in that position of the precipitous drop of the progesterone after ceasing the breastfeeding activity, the enhancement with the GABA...
You mean prolactin?
Prolactin. The enhancement of the GABA activity, that that would be a dysfunction in the brain, right?
Certainly, mood symptoms can be significant.
Would you agree, sir, that the dysfunction in the brain caused by those two items is consistent with intrusive and hard to control thoughts and highly impulsive, uncontrollable behavior? Would you agree with that?
I would say that's possible.
And that would relate to the capacity of a person to conform their conduct. If, in fact, because of the GABA and the progesterone and all that we just talked about, the intrusive, hard to control thoughts and highly impulsive, uncontrollable behavior would address itself to the issue of capacity to conform one's conduct, right?
No, it depends on the timing. If you're talking
Is the answer no?
at 8 months,
Yeah, hold on. You gotta let doctor finish. Did you finish that answer?
Yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead, next question.
So did I hear you say that Patrick is the source, the third-party collateral source of Lindsay saying, I tried to kill myself? Is that what you said? Let me rephrase it for you. I mean, did you tell the jury about an hour ago or so that?
When her husband found her on the ground?
Yeah,
Yes, or something to that effect.
something to that effect, okay. And did you listen to the 911 tape when Patrick was actually speaking with Lindsay as she's laying prostrate in the snow on the ground with a broken neck and the slashes and the slits?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear her response to Patrick's comment? What did you do?
No,
Described as guttural grunts.
not on that call.
So when this conversation occurred, and this is the conversation that you're talking about, where she said, I tried to kill myself, kids are in the basement, he then goes into the house, right?
Correct.
All right. So now we have the EMTs and people are helping her out. You've seen the medical records. You know what the injuries were. You know the damage to her throat. You know the damage to her thyroid, right?
Yes.
And is it your testimony to a reasonable degree of doctor certainty that a person with those injuries, with the prescription drugs that were crushed up, that she consumed, with a broken neck, would be able to have a conversation?
Based on the witness testimony from her husband, yes.
Okay. So let's put the witness testimony from Patrick aside for a minute. And you listen to the 911 call. Are you telling this jury that she had a conversation that you could discern what she was saying?
Not on the 911 call.
No. Would you agree that they were all grunts?
Yes, from what I heard.
So Patrick goes in the house, relates the fact that he found the children, and you told the jury that his office door was closed, is what he said. Is that right?
Yes.
Where did you get that from?
I believe Patrick told me that.
Is that in your report?
Yes.
And when he told you
It's-
that, when was that conversation that you had with Patrick?
When I interviewed Patrick Clancy.
Okay. So you read the grand jury minutes, right?
Yes.
You read the police report, right?
Yes.
You know that Patrick went up the stairs, and when he went up the stairs, the door was locked, right? Meaning the bedroom door, not the office door.
Correct.
And then he was able to open the door, right?
Yes, with
And
a key.
there was blood on the doorknob, right?
There was blood in the room on the
Describe the room.
on the
like.
floor.
Certainly, you already talked, we'll talk about that, but there's blood on the doorknob, right? Was there blood on the doorknob, if you know?
I don't recall.
Do you recall there being blood drops in the area of the door itself, like, where you have the threshold? But what appeared to be blood, because nobody tested it, we don't know what it is, but it appeared to be blood.
I don't recall the specific. I know that there was blood that was observed.
Okay. And you would agree that there was a lot of blood drops, drips on the mirror, drops on the floor, drops on the nightstand, right?
That's my recollection.
And you looked at the photographs in your investigation and looked at the testimony, third-party collaterals, as you testified yesterday, right?
Yes.
And you told the jurors that one of the things that was of interest to you is the fact that there was a glass or a wine mug or something that had crushed narcotics or I think you used the word antipsychotic drugs, crushed up inside that cup. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
Wine tumbler.
Thank you. How do you know they were antipsychotic drugs?
I don't recall saying that they were antipsychotic drugs.
Oh, did you say they were drugs?
I thought I said medications.
Medications. All right, so drugs, medications. and they were crushed up?
There was evidence of powder on the tumbler that Patrick told me about, and I went back and looked more closely at the photographs and saw that.
Did you look more closely at the NMS laboratory or the state police crime laboratory or any testing that was done on the powder?
Yes,
And was there a report that said that indeed it was crushed up medication?
they wouldn't.
I mean, there is.
They didn't indicate whether or not they were pills or.
Did they ever, I'm not asking about pills or powder. Did they ever test the residue?
Not that I'm aware of.
So how do we know that that's even drugs or medications or whatever word you want to use?
It was Patrick Clancy's observation.
So basically, when you're testifying, sir, and you're waxing on about all of the facts of the case that you took into consideration prior to your opinion for the DA in this case, you're getting a lot of it from Patrick, is that right?
That aspect he brought up to me.
Here we
Okay.
go.
So the crushing of the pills, was there a pill crusher found in the bedroom?
Not that I'm aware of.
Was there any residue found anywhere in the bedroom?
Not that I'm aware of.
So if someone's in a psychotic state and they're going to kill themselves and they're taking the pills, yesterday you said the fistful of pills, and then the DA said after painful questioning that they were crushed, you agreed that they were crushed. Wouldn't there be a residue?
A residue?
Yeah, you know what a residue is, right?
Yes.
Was there a residue on the table, on the nightstand, anywhere?
Not that I saw.
So there's no pill crusher, right?
Not that I saw.
There's no investigation by the police to determine what was in that powder, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
There's no indication that there's any residue on or in the actual nightstand next to the bed, right?
Yes, he was.
Not that I'm aware of.
Does it seem appropriate, sir, that a person would be in a psychotic state after slashing their wrist and slicing their throat and ready to propel themselves out a window would neatly put
That's
the
awesome,
bottles
Jen.
into the drawer of the nightstand? Or would they just scatter them around the bedroom floor, not caring?
I'm not aware of the exact sequence of the events in
Well,
terms
if I
of.
tell you, sir, that a couple of days after this incident, I went into the home with Patrick, and I was able to locate in the bedroom, right next to the bed, with all the blood all over the place, this drawer, and inside this drawer would be a lot of medication bottles. Does that refresh your memory on your investigation as to what happened to the bottles? They're all empty.
Yes.
Okay, so how'd they get in the drawer?
How did they get in the drawer? I don't know.
You can fingerprint them, right? Did anybody do any testing at all in this investigation?
Whoa.
If you
Here
know,
it
you told the jury yesterday you read all the stuff, grand jury minutes, police
He
reports.
saved it for the end, you guys.
Yeah, I did not read that.
No
Is
fingerprints,
it your
you say?
understanding, sir, that a person can be in a state of psychosis and I guess misremember something
Yes,
or have a false memory?
it's possible.
Did Lindsay tell you that she slashed the screen with the big turkey knife?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, did she tell you that she slashed the screen with the knife before she went out the window?
Yes, that's what she told me.
But the screen wasn't slashed, was it? Do you think she was malingering and lying to you at that point, sir, when she told you that?
No.
Because one of the things you told this jury is that what stood out to you is, I think you made reference to the fact that Lindsay betrayed her family by misleading her family. Remember saying that to this jury yesterday, sir?
Portrayed.
Betrayed is what you said.
No, I said portrayed.
So Lindsay portrayed and misled her family, is what you said to the jury?
Yes.
How she mislead her family?
Well, in text messages, for example, in the days prior to the event, her parents had visited over that weekend, and the communications that she was providing did not give a sense of her state of mind regarding suicidality.
You kidding me? They stayed up in their house to help them.
Sustained.
They
Next.
stayed at the house, didn't they?
Yes,
Why did they stay at the house?
I'm sorry.
Why did they stay at the house?
They were visiting.
They were staying at the house. They weren't just visiting.
Objection.
Overall.
Sleep over?
As I understand.
Okay, as you understand. How long did they stay at the house and sleep over?
I think they came up for that weekend. They weren't there constantly.
No,
They came back and forth.
back and forth. Well, they stayed, about 4 days, 3 nights. They stayed continuously and stayed at the Clancy home. You knew that from your investigation, right?
Yes, that's
Answer's
my
yes?
recollection.
Answer's yes, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they're staying at the same time. You're telling this jury that she's sending text messages basically saying, I'm okay. Yes. Is that right?
Following their departure, there were the photographs
Sure.
that Lindsay Clancy sent to her mother.
She didn't send her mother photographs.
Hi,
showing that she was
Jen.
smiling or happy with her family, did she?
I think there was a photograph of her and the children by the snowman.
No. Is that a bad thing to do that and send a picture of you with your kids making a snowman to your parents?
No,
Is that something, in your opinion, Dr. Sadoff's opinion for the district attorney, that a person who is involved with postpartum psychosis, postpartum depression, wouldn't take a picture of the snowman and their kids, send it to their mother?
given the prior text that you showed to her mother in terms of being in terrible distress, that she was able to do that. That was not what happened when she sent the picture with her children and the snowman, and so did not raise concerns from the mother, as I understand.
Did you talk to the mother?
Pardon me?
Did you talk to the mother?
No, I tried to.
Did you review police reports or statements? You tried to? How'd you do that? What'd you do? Call her up and say, I want to talk to you?
No.
Did the
Miss,
district attorney call him up?
I asked Miss Clancy who would be good for me to speak with, and she said her husband and her family.
Okay. So based on that, what did you do?
I contacted the district attorney, and I
Which one? Which one of these two?
Ms. Sprague.
Ms. Sprague. Okay. You spoke to Jen Sprague, and what did you say to her?
Sprague.
Was it?
Attorney Sprague.
You spoke to Jen Sprague, and what did she tell you?
Attorney Sprague.
She told me that she would reach out and attempt to see if I could interview Mr. Clancy and Ms. Clancy's family.
Okay. So did you do that? Did you reach out to her mother?
Did I reach out?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Did someone tell you that she wouldn't speak to you?
Yes.
And when was this, sir? About 2 months ago?
It would have been probably June 5th.
This is August, right?
Pardon
This
me.
is August. We're in August right now, right?
Yes.
You called to speak to the mother in June, right? Yes?
I-
Come on.
Yes.
Okay. And when you called the mother, did she say?
I
don't
did
wanna-"
not call the mother.
Okay, so the
I did
answer
not
is you
call
did
the
not
mother.
call the mother. Who told you that you couldn't talk to the mother?
Ms. Sprague,
Attorney Sprague, please.
right, Attorney Sprague.
Now, when Attorney Sprague called you and said you cannot talk to the mother, did it ever occur to you to reach out to me? You're being objective and all.
No,
Did you know, sir, that Lindsay had signed repeatedly every and any HIPAA form that was needed by the DA or the cops to get access to every single medical record that she had? Probably going back to when she was in grammar school. Did you know that?
I know she's been open to it, and she told me that she would like for me to speak with them.
Right. And she's been open to pretty much anything and everything that was asked of her as far as signing documents, getting medical records, doing interviews, videotaping, making appointments to talk to guys like Mac in Helbrunn and you in Tewksbury Hospital, right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
All of your investigation, sir, led up to the fact that you were going to meet with Lindsay 2 months ago, 2 months prior to our beginning this 5-week triple murder trial. Is that fair?
That's true.
And you told this jury that you wanted to establish a rapport with this kid?
Yes,
Do you think for 1 minute, when you're trying to put her in jail for her life, that she wants to talk to you and have a rapport?
Sustained. Next question.
Did you establish a rapport?
I believe so.
She was cooperative.
Yes,
She was polite.
yes,
She was pleasant.
yes. And I asked her at the end if there was any question that I had asked that made her feel uncomfortable, and she responded in a positive way.
One of the things that you told the jury is that you felt that she was malingering, or basically lying. I guess you were telling the jury, in your opinion, that she was making stuff up to make herself look like she's crazy when she killed the children. Is that what you told the jury?
I didn't use those words.
No, you're a little more finesse than I was. But nevertheless, sir, you're talking about malingering, right?
Yes, the statements about the auditory
Answer is yes.
hallucination.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The answer is yes. You were talking about malingering is my question. Yes or no, right? That's all.
Yes,
Okay. And when you're talking about malingering, sir, basically that would be when a person finds it in their interest to basically exaggerate or lie to an investigating psychiatrist, right?
correct.
And that would be because it's in their interest, like I want to pretend that I'm crazy so a jury thinks I'm crazy and I don't have to pay for a crime. That would be in a criminal sense, right?
Yes,
Workman's comp cases, you know, a guy gets hurt in the truck and then they end up having interviews by guys like you to make sure to see if in fact they're legitimately hurt for a workman's comp claim, right?
yes,
Or a civil case, like an auto accident, right?
yes,
And there are tests that can be administered to people to see, from a psychiatrist standpoint, whether or not there is objective indicia of the fact that the person is indeed malingering.
yes.
And what are those tests?
Well, I'm not a neuropsychologist, but there's a test called the SIRS, also the TOMS test of memory. So there are certain tests that can be given by neuropsychologists to assess malingering about certain aspects, certain issues.
You've also heard, I imagine, of the MMPI, which is the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test, right?
Yes,
And that's one that has different scales that you can examine to determine if somebody is lying or malingering or exaggerating or anything like that, right?
correct.
And you know that Dr. Helbrunn administered that very test to Lindsay about, I don't know, 2 months before you got there, right?
Yes,
Which would be about 4 months from now, where we stand now, right?
something like that.
And would you agree, sir, that even though it would have been perhaps better to actually meet with Lindsay within the first 6 months after the incident, or a year even, or maybe even 2 years, but nevertheless, it still has reliability and validity, does it not, when it's administered to her?
The MMPI does, yes.
Okay. And you know, sir, that she, in fact, had no impact on the scales at all, with the exception of likelihood of suicide.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Indicating that as far as that test that was administered to her by Dr. Helbron did not have any evidence at all. This kid was lying, exaggerating, suppressing anything. She was being truthful, right?
Objection.
Overruled.
About the questions that were on the MMPI, yes.
And those questions, sir, pertain to personality traits, they pertain to her recollection, they pertain to all of the investigation that Helbron was conducting, right?
No.
Okay. So when the tests were administered and the results were provided, would you agree with me, yes or no, that specifically the test indicated that she was not malingering?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned one of the other things that you were concerned. Oh, by the way, would you agree with me that Dr. Philip Resnick, as you indicated, is like a world-renowned person on filicide, or the killing of your children? He's also a person that is in the forefront pretty much worldwide on malingering, right?
Yes, he has written about that.
He's done more than write about it. He's basically given hundreds of lectures and many, many, many learned treatises, all about people that lie to psychiatrists to try to get away with something, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay. And you know, sir, that Dr. Resnick examined Lindsay, and one of the first things that he did was determine whether or not, in his opinion, she was malingering, lying, suppressing, exaggerating, or doing anything like that, right?
Yes.
In his opinion, sir, when you read his report after all the testing or his examination, is that she was not lying to him at all. Isn't that right?
Yes.
One of the things that you referenced, sir, was you felt that Lindsay was lying about standing at the refrigerator and making chicken McNuggets or whatever, and carrots or peas or something. And you felt that that wasn't right because the child had already had a bowl and was eating, I think you told the jury, chicken nuggets and vegetables or something like that, right?
Green beans.
Green beans. Have you looked at the photograph, sir, that's in evidence in this case about that bowl?
Quite some time ago.
Does that show any residue of chicken nuggets or green beans in the bowl?
Not that I recall.
No, it shows like sliced up residue of a cucumber, possibly a carrot, like vegetables, right?
Not that I recall.
So there are 3 kids, one of which is an infant who obviously pretty recently got finished breastfeeding, is on the bottle. So he's not going to eat chicken McNuggets, right?
Right.
So we have 2 young children that have to be fed, correct?
Yes.
You have 2 young children that Lindsay indicated that she was at the refrigerator getting the chicken and the vegetables so that she could feed the kids, correct?
Yes.
Told you that she would not give the kids chicken McNuggets and vegetables in a bowl, that she would have a plate, right?
Not necessarily.
So when she was at the refrigerator, sir, it's your understanding that she was not being truthful? Telling you that? Is that what you're telling the jury?
I think what I said was very inconsistent with what she had told Dr. Spinelli.
So when she's at the refrigerator and telling you, your interview, I know you imported Dr. Spinelli's report, you imported Dr. Resnick's report, you imported Dr. Zeisel's report. When you were talking to Lindsay, did she tell you she was getting food for the kids out of the fridge?
That's my recollection.
Now, with all of the understanding in your testimony, sir, about the voices, correct me if I'm wrong. You're telling this jury and Dr. Satoff's opinion, based on your experience and all of your writings and everything, that when one hears voices, they would be internal or external? To be legit.
They can be either.
Really? I'm sorry, I thought you said that they had to be a particular type, like not internal. If they're internal, they're probably lying. But that's not true, I'm wrong?
The voice that Ms. Clancy told me about during the time of this event, she said was external.
Okay. And is that consistent with your understanding, sir, of the research on auditory hallucinations?
Well, some auditory hallucinations can be internal
So,
for people who are psychotic.
and you were aware, sir, that Philip Resnick, Dr. Resnick, did publish the article in the International Journal of Law and Psychiatry in 2014 in conjunction with Simon McCarthy-Jones. You're aware of that line of treatise? Yes. And would you agree with me, sir, that in fact, just if some doctors might feel that hallucinations auditory must originate from the exterior as opposed to interior? Would you agree, sir, that in this article, claim number 1, doctors may say, voices are typically heard as coming from inside the head, with the corollary that voices heard as coming from outside the head are atypical? Would you agree with that?
That was not my recollection of the research. That
Okay.
I understood that it was a minority of.
No, excuse me. It doesn't matter what you.
Oh, hold on. Good. Next question.
I'm going to approach you with the article. We've already established. Who authored it, read it, all that. Okay?
It was quite some time ago.
Sure. Let me put the papers over here just so I don't knock them over. So, if we can share that.
You want me to say it?
No, I want you to share it. Put it right here so I can look at it. Okay, all right. Would you agree, sir, that it says voices are typically heard? This is a claim number 1. In other words, doctors feel voices are typically heard as coming from inside the head, with the corollary that voices heard as coming from outside the head are atypical. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Okay. And what does atypical mean?
Atypical means unusual.
Right. And this article is saying that there are psychiatrists that feel that voices heard outside of the head, auditory hallucinations, are indeed not legitimate. Is that fair?
That was the old original way of thinking. That was the way it was taught at one time, that they had to be external for someone to actually be experiencing psychosis.
Okay, so we agree then, as Dr. Resnick indicates, that the research evidence does not support the claim that internal located voices are emblematic of genuine AVH,
Auditory verbal hallucinations.
and externally located voices are atypical. We cite a particular word, correct?
Yes.
For example, that says, the largest study on this question, Kathy Jones, was in 2012. That's what you're referring to as the old research, right? Oh, one other thing, you were in med school and you talked about that too.
Yeah, I was speaking about very old.
Okay. Basically found that of 199 psychiatric patients 81% who have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. 38% heard both voices coming from inside and outside their head. Did I read that right?
You did.
So when Lindsay indicated to you that she indeed heard a loud auditory hallucination, voice, deep male commanding her to do what she told you, that was external, correct?
Yes.
And you don't have any issues with that. In other words, that is very likely could be legitimate.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you take a young woman who, as the evidence has shown, is suffering with her medical condition and psychiatric condition and seeing doctors and being prescribed medications and
What do we have here on the screen? 10 gifted memberships from Texas Gigi. Thank you so much. I am sure everybody that got gifted those is so excited, and I'm scrolling up to see who they are. Look at that. Jen K. Collins. I'm so happy you received one of those. And welcome, welcome. You said this was the first chat you've chatted in. So we love that. We love having you here. Bunny Murphy, Bronx Tales, Logan. That's awesome. Just Breathe, 1248. Patricia Dietra, Amy Oleski, Ruth Ann 85, Kim's 658, Judy Ann, Twerger, ACHK4FS. Welcome to the peeps, you guys. And we did not have any music today. Clock it. So I gotta say thank you. Clock it. Thank you. Thank you. You know, when you do gifted memberships, you don't get to pick who they are. So a lot of times, like, you'll hear me reading the names and you'll be like, who's that name? I haven't seen them. So they might be somebody who's like watched on replay or watch video, you know, older videos or something like that, but they're in the system as a viewer of the channel and, or probably a subscriber. And, yeah, YouTube just randomly picks. So look at that luck, Jen K. Collins. That's awesome. That's awesome. Newly hatched peeps alert. Thanks again, Texas Gigi. Thank you. All right. I'm going to let this play for, I don't know, 10 more minutes or so. I knew this was going to happen. He's like roasting this guy.
reaching out to people for help and suicide hotlines and people down in Rhode Island and McLean Locked Wards Institute.
Hello.
If I hold an opening statement, sir, would you agree?
Thank you, Laughs. Thank you so much.
In her efforts to maintain control, she, meaning Lindsay, with
5 more members. 5 more members.
Yeah, wait a minute. Get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper.
And those went to Papa Squirrel, Barbie D, Debbie M, oh, thank you very much, Mystified, and Canadian Lynn E. Lynn E. Thank you, Lavs Blue Haze. Thank you so much. There's Bunny Murphy. Clock it. Thank you.
Held. Form of the question.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, I knew there was going to be something about that bowl. There's the kids' plates that were on the counter, and I think we're supposed to be on the couch. Like one of the kids was supposed to be eating, Dawson was supposed to be eating on the couch with a plate, I believe. But then there was a bowl on the couch. So I think there's something interesting. He's making a point about that.
Yeah, if we could approach.
Sure.
Oh, of course. Yeah, she's like, "Can we approach because you're slaughtering my case over here." I was wondering if Kevin Reddington was going to put the spotlight on Patrick, and let me know in the chat. I don't know, what do you want to put in the chat? Put some flames in the chat, fire. Put fire in the chat if you think Kevin Reddington has just called out Patrick. Put the spotlight on Patrick. Flames in the chat. Oh, it was the prosecutor that said bull. Well, I haven't seen all the photos. I have to go back and watch. I have to finish watching day 2, and I have to watch 3 through 9. I'm really curious. I knew there would be some flames popping up. I'm curious about the Celebrate data
Agree, sir.
and the phone
Based
data.
on your investigation, police reports, statements of witnesses, grand jury, photographs, videos, interviews of Lindsay, review of witness statements, all of that you told us yesterday that you reviewed, that in fact on January 24th of 2023, Lindsay made a calculated decision. She was a woman who no longer liked the life she thought she wanted. It was getting harder and harder for her to control. And when she saw the opportunity to escape, she made the selfish choice to take it and to take Cora, Dawson, and Callan first before attempting to take her own life. Continuing on, sir, she chose to manipulate her providers, seek out a quick and easy fix when she was feeling depressed and anxious, and when she didn't get what she expected, she chose the alternate route. She would seek a different doctor. She would change medications after days. She disengaged from treatment that she didn't like the plan, and after only 4 months in treatment, she made a choice, a deliberate and intentional decision that she did not want to try anymore. And because no one could take care of her kids the way she wanted them to, she had to take them with her too. Would you agree that the evidence, in your opinion, supports that contention, sir?
Well, there's a lot in that.
Yeah, it is. Do you agree that it would support your contention, sir, or it would not?
I think that statement that you read really minimizes what she was going through.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Attorney Sprague?
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, you were asked during cross-examination about your work as a forensic psychiatrist for the Bureau of Prisons and for the prisons in Virginia. And about that work and kind of minimizing what your experience was there. What was your work there? What did that entail?
Well, I continued to work there, and I continued to teach students in that system. Seeing patients who are inmates in a number of different facilities, men's and women's facilities over the years, and doing assessments, evaluations, making determinations about treatment, and the like, gathering information. So really treating these inmate patients as patients who have significant mental illness and really require the best treatment that we can provide in the system.
And during the course of your many, many years working in that system and treating these patients, have you treated patients with psychosis?
Yes.
And does that include treating women with psychosis?
Yes.
And how often have you done that?
I don't know, Jack. I didn't ask about who. He said 2 already. He's already said once.
Overall, she may have that. Go ahead.
Since 1992,
Yes.
so 34 years.
How many patients have you treated in the prison system, women patients dealing with psychosis, approximately?
Several hundred.
And are there certain common signs or symptoms that these women display who have psychosis?
Yes.
And what are those?
Well, some have delusions, fixed false beliefs about certain things. So they can present as being psychotic that way. Also, they can present with hallucinations, what we call perceptual disturbances, and generally they are, in most cases, auditory hallucinations, auditory verbal hallucinations. And they also can present with disorganized thinking, having words, making up words that have special meaning, really having a great difficulty communicating.
And you also mentioned that you all worked for a state hospital for, I think you said 15 years, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you treat patients with psychosis during those 15 years?
Yes.
And did those include women with psychosis?
Yes.
And in terms of your treatment of women with psychosis, were you responsible for diagnosing them with their underlying mental condition?
Yes.
Diagnosing psychosis as being one of their symptoms?
Correct.
And then treating the underlying condition and the symptom of psychosis for those women?
Yes.
And you did that for approximately 15 years, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned two specific patients, females that you dealt with postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And what did you learn from treating those two patients?
So those are the two patients that are mentioned in the case reports.
Which case reports?
The case report about postpartum psychosis that was written.
On the medication interaction?
Yes. Are you asking how those patients presented?
Yes.
Okay. There were, as I recall, it's been a while since I've looked at the paper, but one was an 18-year-old woman who had delivered her child and had decided not to take, or that she did not want to breastfeed. And so in those days, this medication, bromocriptine, also called Parladel, was given. And we found that within, I think, just a couple of days of the time that she was given this medication, she became convinced that she had to kill her child. And I believe that she was experiencing auditory hallucinations. And she was so distressed about that she wanted to kill herself and was suicidal. And that was how she was brought to our attention. In evaluating her, we removed the Parladel, the bromocriptine, and she responded and resolved her symptoms, her psychotic symptoms, and we were able to discharge her back to her family. The other case, I believe, was another female, a bit older, maybe mid-20s, and she was also given this medication and also became psychotic. For her, it was more a manifestation of mania. She was hypersexual with her husband. She, I think, was quite hyper-religious, and she was...
Doctor,
sorry.
in terms of her delusions, those were more of religious delusions?
Pardon me?
Her delusions regarding her child were religious delusions?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And once that medication was removed from that woman, did her symptoms subside?
Yes. I think in that case, she was also given, she was so disruptive on the ward taking her clothes off, et cetera, that she was also given antipsychotic medication for a period of time, and her symptoms resolved.
And going back to the first patient that you described, you said that she had voices instructing her to harm her child. And was it as a result of her feelings of guilt for about those thoughts and voices that she was suicidal?
Yes.
So she wanted to kill herself instead of killing her children, correct?
Yes.
Now, you were asked by Attorney Reddington about your curriculum vitae and focusing in on terrorism, and is that your sole focus? And you said no. What has been your focus over your career?
Well,
Okay, you guys. I don't know about you, but look at her. She's fixing her hair. That's a good place to stop. She's going to finish trying to defend him. She's trying to recover his experience and credentials. That's what she's doing right now. She will finish. I don't know if Kevin will get back up and be able to try to correct anything. I don't know who gets the last absolute word here. I don't know if they'll do anything after their lunch break or if he will just end for the day. Tomorrow should be closing arguments. I will be back for that. I am leaving tonight to go on a little getaway with Carlos just for the night. It's just unexpected, came out of the blue, and I never try to say no to those things. So I'm going to wake up super early tomorrow. We're not going far. And rush back here in the morning. And I will be on again tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock for the Lindsay Clancy trial. And we'll get all caught up. But in about 10 minutes, 8 minutes now, 8 minutes, I have a scheduled live for an Idaho 4 new interview. It's the first FOIA request I have completed that was not a duplicate or a mix-up. I had a mix-up one time. So this interview is Maddie Mogan's ex-boyfriend from her hometown. He was, it's an interview where they had to eliminate him as a person of interest. And then they also asked him victimology questions. So I'm going to listen to it all the way through for the first time with you and talk about it and take notes as we go. And then I will be premiering it. I have a premiere scheduled for, I think it's 5 p.m. Eastern time, where it'll just be the video. It'll play out, no interruptions, so that everybody can use it on their shows, but the live chat will be there for you guys. I hope you will join me back in 6 minutes now. And I will see you then. I'm going to clock out. Thank you, you guys. Thanks again for the memberships and donations, Bunny Murphy, Labs, and Texas GG. See you guys in a few minutes.
Thanks for watching, hope you felt the spark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. Subscribe, it's free and keeps us going strong. You're part of the crew now, right where you belong. Join us next time, same truth, same fire. We bring the heat and never tire. We're typically unique and proud to be a husband and wife in podcast harmony.